Nerdy Neo on the mic tells a story. Open mic, a world of digital glory. Talking quests and pixelated dreams. Gamers journey on the mainstream. Open mic with a gaming twist. Press start and raise your fist. From consoles old to new. Every game a brand new crew. Week by week a new guest appears. Sharing love for gaming through the years. Button mashing tales of late night kills. Level up, adrenaline thrill. Open mic with a gaming twist. Press start and raise your fist. From consoles old to new. Every game a brand new crew. From pixel art to high-def screens. Open worlds and cutscenes. Neil's questions deep they go. Discovering every game in tow.
Hello, happy Thursday, everyone. It is time for another open mic, an early edition, because normally I do this on Thursday evenings, but today it worked out best for both of us to do it earlier in the afternoon, so this is much earlier than the normal time. But welcome to another episode of Open Mic. I got a friend who's been on a couple episodes of Top 5, and I was like, wait a minute, I never had you on Open Mic to just talk about video games, nonchalantly. Because Top 5 is pretty structured. We rank in our Top 5 of whatever the topics are. So I was like, hey, let's get you on for an open mic to talk video games with open-ended conversation. He's like, yeah, let's do it. So I just got off of a very fun stream because today is March 6th, which is the 13th anniversary of my favorite game of all time, Mass Effect 3. So I just got done playing Mass Effect 3 for a couple hours and had a bunch of fun people in chat hanging out with me. But now it is time for an open mic. So let's go ahead and welcome our guest in here. Say hi to Lowest Expectations. How's it going?
Hello there. It's going good.
So I saw you were in my chat for at least a little bit. So it's fun to see you kind of before, what's the word? Again, I don't know, warmed up, hanging out in the Mass Effect chat. But
I like to pop in when you least expect it.
Yes. So, well, welcome. Glad we were able to get you on for an open mic to just talk about video games. So, I see a couple of friends in chat already. One that I think he's one of your friends because I see him whenever you show up. And that's T-Man. So, hello, T-Man. Right. Good to see you again, as always. And another one here that I don't think I recognize, but I'm assuming is also one of your friends, Platon CXV.
Yep, he usually goes just by Plato. He's one of the smashers.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was streaming on Monday night as well, doing my Metroidvania Monday, but I saw that I think we went live at like almost the exact same time. But I'm definitely gonna have to skip a week of Mass Effect Monday or Metroidvania Monday because I definitely want to come on for Smash at some point. But good to see you guys, and welcome to Open Mic. And yeah, amped both from playing Mass Effect because I freaking love it, and from that awesome intro. Shout out to Nerd Slap who made that intro for me. Awesome stuff, and it gets me pumped. So he says, "I promise I won't make Chow look bad." So
don't listen to him.
I guess we'll kind of start off right there since you do on Mondays, you do your Smash. I'm assuming you're doing Smash Ultimate would be my guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that now?
The Smash streams have gone over for just over a year now.
Okay, so you've been doing that for a while. Nice.
Yeah, I started in January of 2023, but I actually... Smash is what made me start my channel in the first place, or one of the things that made me start my channel.
Okay.
Because the first video I ever put out was a montage of Smash 4 for the Wii U.
Oh, I never played that one because I've never even seen, much less held a Wii U.
Oh yeah, it's that's like the black sheep of the Smash Bros games, I guess. Like there's a lot of people really don't like that one.
No, it's definitely the black sheep.
There's a lot of good reasons
for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of good reasons not to like that one too, but I liked it. because of the multiplayer.
Okay, so because that's the only Smash I've never played. What's different about that one? Like, did they make any new innovations, or what specifically is it that people didn't care for on that one?
It's the overall like competitive meta game is extremely slow, and if you're playing it for like the single player content, there's actually less content than there is in Brawl on the Wii.
Okay, because Brawl was
a
my
lot of people,
favorite.
yeah, a lot of people don't like it for the lack of single player content. The only thing that they added that's different from the other versions of the game is called Smash Tour, which is basically like this Mario Party like mini game thing that's 99% luck based, and it's
Oh,
just
fun.
it's unpleasant to play. It's really bad.
Um, Now, because I know that there was also, I don't know if it was the same version or not, but they had Smash on the 3DS. Was it essentially the same game, or were there any differences, or do you even know?
It was basically built off the same game, so the characters play pretty much exactly the same as the Wii U one,
Okay.
but there's a little bit of different content in it. There's like this there's a mode called I didn't have the 3DS version because I could not play that thing on a 3DS. My hands would cramp up in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I never had a 3DS. My last
Um,
one was just a standard DS, so I never played that. Although I would have definitely gotten it if I had a 3DS.
Yeah, 3DS is actually my least favorite handheld. So there's your first hot take of the night.
Okay. Yeah, no, it was a popular one. My favorite handheld was the GBA SP. I love that thing, but unfortunately,
Yep, that's a good one.
it got stolen. When
There's a lot of hidden gems on the Game Boy Advance too.
Let's see here, because I got robbed a couple of times. I'm trying to think, was it the first time I got robbed? Or was the second time? I think it was when I got robbed at home. Yeah, it was when I got robbed at home. And by that time, I was like, "What's the point of getting another Game Boy Advance when the DS was out?" I was like, "I'll just get that because it plays my Game Boy Advance games."
Yep, I remember we actually got robbed once too. I guess we left the back door open and some kids got in that we knew, and they stole our Pokemon cards.
Oh no!
They didn't steal any of our video games though, for some reason.
Okay. Yeah, it was. I'm almost positive that when we got robbed, it was because we were doing some remodeling, and what someone did is I in my room they cracked the window so much so that the latch wasn't latched, but like according to the alarm system, it was still closed.
Hmm.
And they came in through my window one time by just sliding the glass open, and they stole a bunch of my tech stuff and a bunch of like my mom's jewelry and stuff. It was not cool.
Right.
But so you were not a fan of the 3DS. Okay.
No, I was not.
Was it mainly the hand cramping, or did you have a problem
Yes.
with like the 3D part of it as well?
Oh, the 3D part is like that's just like an extra gimmick thing. Like you don't even have to use it in
Right.
pretty much every game.
Yeah,
So you can ignore that.
2DS, so it doesn't even. It's the same thing, just without the 3D. So,
Yeah,
I know a
when
lot of
the
people have
3D
problems with the 3D part. Did you have? any
Yeah, the
problems with it?
3D it doesn't work very good in general. On like the first few models of the 3DS, I don't know about like the newer one, but on the first few models, you have to be looking at the screen in just the right angle for it to look right.
Yeah.
And when it does look right, it is kind of cool, but you don't really need it for anything.
Yeah, I remember
Doesn't help.
I held one and played it for like a minute or two at a demo station at like WonderCon when they were like just coming out. So I got to see what it looked like, but it was just for like a couple of minutes. But I know a lot of people like with VR, a lot of people have problems with like VR because like it makes them like motion sickness. So I know some people have problems like with the 3D aspect of it, like giving like headaches or whatever. So I was curious if you
Yeah,
had that
so
experience.
there were two models of the 3DS, the original 3DS, the 3DS XL.
XL, that's
Both of them gave me hand cramps.
Ooh, even
Uh,
the XL did.
Yeah, the XL was actually worse because it's heavier.
Oh, okay.
But like the DS Lite, for example, no hand
Oh.
cramps at all.
That's what I got. Yeah, I always think of this as the base model, but I forgot that was the silver one that was kind of like bigger. I never had
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
I've never even used an original DS. I only had the DS Lite, and
I used
actually I
one.
liked that system.
I used them because my friend had it, but I never played one like regularly. The only one I had and played was my DS Lite, which I forgot was even called a DS Lite until you mentioned. I just when you say DS,
Right.
that's the model I think of right there. Grab it. Yeah, it's because I haven't played this thing in forever, and I remember I had it packed away for it was probably like 5 years, and I pulled it out and I like there's no way it still has battery, and I booted it up and it still had battery. I was like, what the heck? Batteries on these things are crazy.
Got a quick top 5 DS games.
It's been so
Or are you
long
saving
since
that for
I've
a topic?
that is we do have because I got tons of topics for top 5 and one of them
Mhm.
is like top 5 for like each console, so that's definitely on there. It's been so long since I played it, I probably couldn't come up with a list off the top of my head if I wanted to. But we will probably do that at some point. Although I don't know if we it would kind of depend on who we have on the panel for that one. If we just stick to just DS game, or maybe we would do like mobile, like not mobile games, like like Candy Crush, but like like
Handheld
game,
games.
yeah, like handheld games. Maybe we do like it would be like Nintendo handheld games would like be from Game Boy to 3DS and anything in between. Or maybe if there's enough, we could do one for specifically for DS. So we shall see. But yeah, I have to do some thinking because I'm not sure if I ever even had 5 games on the DS. I had it, but I didn't have a whole lot of games for it. The one thing that I do rant about this thing often is it's got the slot here for Game Boy Advance games because backwards compatible,
Yeah.
and it annoys the crap out of me because this is backwards compatible with the GBA. The GBA is backwards compatible with the Game Boy / Game Boy Color. The DS is not backwards compatible with the Game Boy or Game Boy Color. I cannot play Game Boy and Game Boy Color games on this.
Oh yeah, it's only one generation.
It's only one. I
compatible.
was like, how is this backwards compatible with the previous one? And that one's backwards compatible with the one before that. But this one's not compatible with 2 generations ago. I was like, how is that possible? So that was my one complaint with this thing.
Yeah, I don't know why that was like that. You'd think that if they have the same cart slot, you should be able to put any of them in there, but
I don't remember. I'm trying to look at it right now if it was something on here or something on the cartridge, but there was like a little notch somewhere. It had to been on the cartridge because it doesn't look like it's here. And that's the reason why it didn't fit in here is because this little notch on the cartridge that there was a spot. There was a slot for the notch on the Game Boy Advance, but there isn't on the DS. So,
yeah. Oh well.
Yeah.
I still have a Game Boy Pocket that still works.
Okay. That's
the one that that's one that I notoriously threw across the room when I was a kid, and it still works.
That's another one. Someone mentioned that recently, and I forgot that the Game Boy Pocket even existed. Because my first one was a Game Boy Color. I had the Atomic Purple one, and I forgot that there was, the Game Boy Pocket was in between, the big fat brick Game Boy and the Game Boy Color.
Yep.
So,
oh, that's a good thing to mention though. The Game Boy was actually like my first gaming experience ever, from what I remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was that you played?
The first one I ever played was either Mario Land 2, Tetris, or Kirby's Dream Land.
Okay.
Because those were the games that my uncle had, and I played it on his, I believe.
I think the only time I've ever played an actual original brick-sized Game Boy was in high school. One of the buddies on our soccer team, whenever we'd go on away games, he had 2 Game Boys and 2 copies of Tetris and a link cable. So he'd bring both his Game Boys. We'd play against him on the bus. That's the only time I ever played a handheld game in a versus mode. Was on the original Game Boy, and that's the only time I played original Game Boy. But I had a Game Boy Color, and I think my Game Boy Color got stolen along with my GBA SP because I don't have my Game Boy Color anymore either. And I was like, what happened to that?
Yeah, I remember playing Game Boy Tetris link cabled as well with my mom.
Speaking of Tetris, did you see the Tetris movie from Apple like a year or so ago about the development of the game?
I did not. If you okay, if you ask me, have you seen this movie from the past 10 to 15 years or so? The answer is probably no.
All right, fair enough.
I there was the last few times like I went to the theaters just kind of ruined movies for me. It was
Uh-oh.
the first one was
Almost
actually
afraid to ask.
The first one was actually Iron Man 2.
Oh,
I
wow.
saw that and I thought it was really disappointing.
Yeah, it would definitely the first Iron Man is the best of the Iron Man movies.
Absolutely.
Um,
And then it was
that
Star
was
Wars
like
episode
2000. I want to say Iron Man 2
it was like 2009.
2010.
2009, I think.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, and then the next one was Star Wars Episode 7.
Oh, yeah.
And then the
No.
next one was the first Suicide Squad movie.
Oh, yeah. You've got a bad track record of going to the theater.
Yes, I do. And then after that, I just kind of stopped watching movies and TV and stuff in general. Just
Okay.
because, like, so it was around 2012 or so was when I started buying a bunch of PS2 games that I missed out on.
Okay.
So once I had started I got really back into gaming that year. Whereas before I was just like doing nothing and playing RuneScape the whole time, which we don't need to talk about that era. That was one of my worst eras, just saying.
I know that was a popular game. I know nothing about that game. I just know it was very popular.
The only reason I got into it so much was because we had dial-up all the way until 2008.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it was pretty much the only online game that I could play.
Because it was the one that didn't require more data than your
Yeah.
bandwidth.
It ran on Java and you could play it in the browser. So you
okay.
could run it on basically everything. Unless your
Because-
computer was like from 1995 or something.
Because they basically like axed Java like entirely, right? So can you even play that game anymore?
RuneScape is still going. They actually resurrected the old school RuneScape servers.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's running on Java or if they got it like running on something else, but
I would assume it had to be something else. I remember there was a while ago, like all the browsers like Java's no longer supported. It basically got removed from the industry.
yeah. So basically, once I started getting back into gaming after that, I started like, if I'm just sitting down watching a story, I get bored. I got to be playing through it, you know?
Understandable. Yeah, the man, the amount of times I've gone to the theater in the last 5 years is I could probably count on one hand. But
Mhm.
the last time I went to the theater was one of the best because it was last September, and it was to see my favorite movie of all time in theaters. I never got to when it came out, and that is obviously The Matrix. Came back for a 25th anniversary. I'm like, I am going no matter
Oh,
what.
nice.
So that was the last time I went to theater, was to see my favorite movie in theater for the first time.
Yeah,
And
my
then-
last one was actually the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which
I'm assuming the new one, not the 90s one.
yeah, the new one. My brother had to drag me kicking and screaming to go see that movie,
Really?
and it was pretty good. I liked it.
Oh, we ranked our top 5 favorite video game movies. Let's see. Did I put it in my top 5 or did I just put it in my honorable mentions? Video game movies. I'm pretty sure I had it. Yeah, I put it as my number 5. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Also, it
And,
just started getting like super windy all of a sudden here. If I like disappear, that's probably what happened.
It's funny you say that because I had to cancel party chat on Tuesday because my guest's power went
Oh,
out
yeah.
because of, and Insidious Bliss was going to be the guest, and like the weather in the Midwest was like brutal, and he lost power like 20 minutes before the stream time because he said it was having like 70-mile-an-hour winds. So he'll be back
Also,
for party chat on the next episode, which should be on the 18th.
Okay. Also, Quillpig is lying. I do not like Age of Calamity more. That's a lie.
So, great segue. So, catching up on some of the chat here. Plato said, or not Plato, but he says, Platon, not Plato. Chow, I swear, if you say my name wrong one more time, we're gonna have a problem.
I swear you told me it was Plato.
Is it?
But okay.
Platon or Platon? I'd say Platon would be my guess. So I'll call him Platon unless he corrects me. So, and Quillpig is here. Hello, Quillpig. For first time seeing you, but welcome. Saying, yeah, don't trust Chow's Chase. He likes Hyrule Warriors. He secretly likes Age of Calamity more. I know Hyrule Warriors is the Dynasty Warriors clone. Age of Calamity, is that the sequel to the Hyrule Warriors? I've heard that name as well, but I don't know what that one that is.
It's not a sequel to the first Hyrule Warriors, but it's Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, but it's based off of the Breath of the Wild game.
Okay, but it's like the Dynasty Warriors, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that one's like a prequel spin-off weird thing. It's pretty bad. It's a Warriors game, and it runs at sub 20 FPS most of the time.
Ouch! But yeah, it's lots of characters on screen. I assume, and it's running on a Switch.
Yeah, it runs really poorly. Like, because it looks like it's built in the same engine as Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
So then you just have that, and then you throw a ton of enemies in there at once, and I don't know if it's been updated since it came out, but it was a disaster when I played it.
I wonder if you play it on the Super Switch, if it'll run a lot better once that comes out. And I will continue calling it the Super Switch, not Switch 2, because that name sucks and Super Switch is way better.
That's what I hope that they do. Like, they release a bunch of performance and upgrade patches for a lot of their games, but I don't know if they will.
Yeah, T-Man says, my biggest criticism of Smash games post-Brawl is lack of single-player content. Well, the only one I played past Brawl was Ultimate, and that was my biggest disappointment. Is was not a fan of the single-player. That I haven't even played that much of it. I don't understand this rock, paper, scissors concept with the different like elements that you equip the stickers. It's like, just make a freaking straightforward, like Subspace Emissary was great. Just like make a campaign that I play through, not like these weird fights that I don't understand what's going on.
I feel like I'm the odd one out because I actually liked the World of Light mode.
Is that what it's called? I don't even remember what it was called.
I don't think it's like great, but I had fun with it, you know?
Okay. Yeah. And you start with only one character, although that's typically how it goes.
Yeah, you start with Kirby because that's Sakurai's baby.
I was going to say, I think you started as Kirby, if I remember correctly. Did you also start as Kirby in Subspace Emissary on Brawl? I feel like you started as Kirby as well. But it's been a very long time since
I don't remember.
Very, very long time. So, yeah, I totally get you, T-Man. That makes sense. And Christian Frades is here saying hi. Good afternoon, Christian. Good to see you as always. Hope you're doing well today. And T-Man says, funny enough, Chow never gets my anime references in his chat. Are you, based on your background, I'm assuming you're into anime.
Well, the amount of animes I've seen versus the amount of anime style games that I've played way more anime style games.
Okay.
Because I got really into JRPGs. So
that I don't make it hidden. There, like, I'll play almost anything, but there are a couple of genres that I don't really dabble in, and JRPGs is one of them, because basically a cornerstone of the genre is turn-based combat. I do not like turn-based combat, so I know that there are some real-time JRPGs out there that Carl's been trying to get me to play because he loves RPGs, as does Angry Canadian. But the other ones are RTSs, and that's just because I'm not good at them. But I do like them. And then fighting games, just not good at them either, except for Smash Bros. But that's like, I would say, like baby's first fighter, so it almost doesn't really count.
Yeah, the JRPGs with like real-time combat they tend to be super complicated. So starting with one of those would probably be kind of tough, but I don't know. If you're an experienced gamer, you can probably handle it.
Probably. But
like I always recommend, if you don't like turn-based, but you're kind of interested in Final Fantasy, I'd say go Final Fantasy 12.
Okay. Yeah, I've never played a Final Fantasy game because until recently they've all been turn-based, and growing up, I mean, the early ones were on Super Nintendo, but I didn't have any interest in them. And then they went to PlayStation exclusively for a long time. I never had a PlayStation, so I
Right.
never really had the opportunity, nor did I ever have the desire to play Final Fantasy. But if Final Fantasy, actually, the 7 remake is on Steam, and I believe Rebirth is now as well. So
I think
I
so.
may give those a shot at some time because those did look, real time. So I'm definitely more open to those. But I
Final Fantasy
trolled.
12 is available on just about everything right now too. So they
Oh,
did like a remaster.
yeah, and my buddy Dude 1286 pointed something out to me recently because we were talking about Final Fantasy. In that, like, there's more Final Fantasies on Xbox now than something. Was it like on PS2 or I don't remember? But it's like there's more Final Fantasy on Xbox now than there are on something. And I was like, wow, that's kind of surprising because yeah, like a ton of Final Fantasies are on. Maybe not all the same generation, but are all playable on various Xboxes. I'm like, oh, that kind of sheds a new light on it. So it's, even until recently, I've thought of it as a PlayStation brand, essentially.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't know because Xbox is the platform I have the least experience with. Actually, I had the original Xbox and that was it.
Okay. Yeah, I got into Xbox because all my friends had it and we loved playing Halo. So that pulled me in. And then when the 360 came around and achievements were invented, that kept me.
Right.
Playton says, I have a computer from before 1999 in my room. Does it still run? At least that thing's very old. And Cool Pig says, Last Starfighter is the best video game movie. That's another one. I have not seen that one. I know there's a lot of love for that, so I gotta watch that eventually. But I was just talking about it on my Mass Effect stream. I don't really watch a whole lot. Like I've been to the theater twice in the last 3 years, and because when I have free time, it's like I'd rather be gaming. So the very little bit that I watch is currently been rewatching Stargate, but other than that, I haven't watched a movie at home in freaking like a year. But so I've got a lot of things on my watch list. It's just going to be a very long time till I get to them. But talking about theater though, the last thing I went was to see The Matrix, and the last thing I saw before that was one of my favorite movies in the last few years, and I saw it twice in theater, and that was Top Gun Maverick. I am so glad that movie was as good as it was because I always figured it was going to suck because of, all these old franchises that are getting rebooted and most of them are terrible. And it was in the middle of COVID and they kept pushing back the launch date. I'm like, this movie is doomed. And then it turned out to be fantastic and I loved it.
It's funny you say that because that was the other movie I saw in theaters too. I actually when I was doing work as what do you call it? I was basically working with disabled adults, basically.
Okay.
They dragged me to the theater once, and it happened to be Top Gun Maverick, and it was pretty good.
I love that movie. I love both Top Guns.
I've never seen the original ones though.
Oh, it came out a little bit before I was born, but that was one of my dad and I's the original Star Wars. And Top Gun and Men in Black were some of our movies when I was a kid that we loved. So,
oh yeah, Men in Black was one of my favorites too.
So I've loved Top Gun since I was pretty young, and I was like, they're gonna butcher it, and I absolutely loved Maverick. It was so great. Sometimes I'll go back and just rewatch the scene where he steals the jet to show them that the mission is possible, and just watch that. It's like a little 3 or 4 minute segment where he's going through the course himself for the first time, and he does it. I just love rewatching just that scene alone. Is gets me hyped.
Yeah.
And T-Man says films I saw recently were Transformers 1. I've heard good things about it, but I have not seen it yet. And Sonic 3, which I've seen Sonic 1 and 2 and I like them, but I haven't seen Sonic 3 yet. I heard Wild Robot was also really good. So I'll probably watch all of those eventually. I just have no idea when.
I need to see the Sonic movies still too. I'm way behind on that.
I put Sonic 1 on my top 5 video game movies. I put that one as my number 4. So
yeah, that's the only movie that I kind of want to watch right now is the Sonic trilogy.
Yeah, I would definitely watch those if I had a good reason to. But are you a fan of the Sonic franchise?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I was a Nintendo kid, so
Well,
the only time I played Sonic was a couple times over to a friend's house because he had Genesis, so I was never really into Sonic. I always liked him more than Mario, though. I thought it was cooler.
I was way more of a Sonic fan back in the day than I am now
Okay.
because
Yeah.
I don't like the way modern Sonic plays.
You're,
The
what-
modern 3D Sonics.
You're not a fan of Sonic 06?
I haven't played it yet.
No.
That is a sub goal though. If I get to a certain amount of subs, I will play that on this channel.
Oh, okay. Um,
And it looks like pain and suffering.
the torture inspiration. It's like, hey, if you want to see me suffer through this,
Yep,
I'm
and,
doing the exact same thing right now with Dark Souls because I just finished Dude Souls last night. Was potentially the last episode because Dude was coaching me through Dark Souls for my first time ever, and he's well versed in it. And then after I beat it, we flipped it, and I watched him play it to show, to see how good he did. And I did it took me 284 deaths to beat Dark Souls, and he did it in 34. A lot of people have enjoyed watching me suffer through it, and I was like, we will continue Dude Souls, but the stipulation is someone has to gift it to me on Xbox. So if someone gifts it to me on Xbox, we will continue Dude Souls at some point. That is Dark Souls 2, that is, because I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, the funny thing about me and Sonic though is that I have never owned a Sega console, and I was still more of a fan of Sonic than I was of Mario.
Did you have Nintendo consoles as a kid?
Yeah, pretty much all Nintendo consoles basically.
Okay.
And then the first time we got a Sonic game was in like 2000 or something, or maybe even later than that, where we got a CD-ROM that had a bunch of Sega games on there, Sega Genesis games. And Sonic 2 was on there, and Sonic Spinball was on there.
So you had a CD-ROM of Genesis games. What did you play this CD on?
A PC.
Okay. I was like, because I know that
Yeah,
there was
old
like
PC.
the 32X, which was like a disc thing for the Genesis. So I thought maybe that could have been it because I'm not totally well versed in the Sonic hardware.
Oh.
But, what is your take on Sonic Spinball?
So the weird thing about there was 2 discs in that collection. That was Sonic Spinball was on disc 1. Disc 1 had a problem where the games would crash after about 15 to 20 minutes. So I could never beat any game on that disc, which included Golden Axe. Unfortunately, couldn't beat that game because it would crash before I got to the end. Yeah, and Sonic Spinball, I couldn't even get out of the sewer level because of that crash. I think it had Vector Man 1 as well, and I couldn't beat that either.
Man. I played that once and I really liked it, but I never got a chance to like play it in its entirety.
Yeah, but my impression of the Spinball game was that it's like janky and weird, and
because I've not heard great things about it, but my buddy Imp Black Belt, he is a huge fan of Sonic Spinball. He loves that game.
Yeah, but then on disc 2 we had Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which is my favorite Sonic game from back in the day.
Okay, I think that's one of the few
From,
ones
like-
I've actually played.
From before the 3D era, at least. That Sonic 2 is my favorite.
Let's see here, because the only Sonics I played were the Xbox Live Arcade games. So I played Sonic and Knuckles and Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and then I played Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection, which had a smattering of various Sonic games. So that's about my full experience with Sonic games. So I know he's a popular franchise. I just don't have a lot of experience with them.
Yeah.
Angry Canadian's a
Then-
big fan of Sonic as well. Oh, speaking of that, I was looking at his page on the Fuse Gaming app that I mentioned earlier because he had a list of game. I think it was games that he hates, and I think one of them was Sonic. It's either the game that he loves or a game that he hates. I forget, but it was Sonic and the Secret Rings.
Oh, he probably hated it.
He hated it. Okay, is that another one that most people despise?
Yeah, I hear nothing but bad things about that one. So that one's on the Wii, and it has like weird controls. I played Sonic and the Black Knight, which is also on the Wii and kind of in the same vein, I guess. And that game was bad to play, even though it had some interesting ideas in it. But overall, it's pretty bad.
Oh shoot! I thought I didn't even realize my chat wasn't scrolling, and I thought it's because no one's chatting. But like, it's like a whole bunch of chats been going by. So I'm sorry, chat. Uh, let's see here. Oh, Cool Pig is saying that Age of Calamity's What If story for Breath of the Wild. I'll pretend it's a
Yeah,
prequel.
basically.
Just waiting for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild remaster on the Super Switch. Yeah, because I haven't played. The last Zelda I played was Twilight Princess.
Twilight Princess is great.
It is phenomenal. It's my second favorite, and it's almost tied with Ocarina of Time. Breath of the Wild was the first one after Twilight Princess, right? Oh no, there was Skyward Sword. So never mind. I played Skyward Sword, and I
For the 3D games, yeah, but there was a bunch of other Zeldas,
Yeah,
like 2D
not the
Zeldas that
handheld.
came out.
not the handheld,
Yeah.
but of like the console releases.
Right.
I did play Skyward Sword, and it wasn't bad. I thought it was very mediocre, but it wasn't like the main issue that people complain about is the motion controls. I had no problem with the motion controls. My biggest complaint was freaking Fee or Fi or whatever the heck her name is. She's the worst version of Navi ever.
Absolutely. And I'm with you there. I actually thought the motion controls made the game more fun
Yes.
than it would have been otherwise. Like if you had Skyward Sword and just played it like a normal Zelda game, I think it would be worse. Because I really do not like the way that the world is designed in that game. It's like designed in a way to make the whole thing an obstacle course rather than an actual like believable world, I guess you could say.
Okay.
I really Skyward Sword I have a lot of criticisms of.
Yeah. And then the other thing I think was my second biggest complaint was that you fight like the same boss like 3 or 4 times, as it's like the
Yeah.
same fight over and over, and as he's going down like that circle, like it's like doing the same thing over and over again. I did like the final boss fight though, but that boss fight you do so many times that was annoying. But
I like the penultimate boss fight more.
which one was the penultimate boss fight?
Against Girahim. The guy who turns into the final boss's sword.
It's oh my goodness.
He's
I'd
the
have to
guy
go
that's
back and,
like he's
watch
the guy that's
playthrough 'cause I barely remember it because it's been so long.
he's like I describe him as like the David Bowie of the Zelda universe, and he's like a demon guy, and he's chasing Link around or chasing Zelda around the entire game.
Okay.
He's like in white, mostly in white.
I'll have to as soon as I see him, I'm sure I'll probably remember him. It's just been so long
Yeah.
since I played it. I only played it once, so. But
He's like one
I
of my
have,
favorite characters of the whole series, basically. That's like my
Oh.
favorite thing about the game is his character.
one of your favorite characters and one of the I don't necessarily want to say least favorite games in the franchise, but potentially.
It's close. It's close to my least favorite.
That's funny. But I was talking to Angry Canadian a little while ago about Skyward Sword, and because I was asking him about the Skyward Sword HD on Switch, and apparently that a lot of people's criticisms, like all across the board, are addressed in the Switch version, the HD one. So if I do ever decide to play it again, I'll play the Switch version because apparently it's much better. Master mode for Tears of the Kingdom first. Oh yeah, that was one thing I was going to say is that because Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are essentially the same game, but Tears of the Kingdom has so much more. Once I get caught up, I'll probably just do Tears of the Kingdom. Is there any reason to really play Breath of the Wild when Tears of the Kingdom exists?
Yes, because even though like the surface level overworld is the same in Tears of the Kingdom, there's still a lot of differences, and the story is completely different. Breath of the Wild has different dungeons, if you can even call them that, different boss fights. So yeah, I'd say it's actually better to play them both rather than just stick to the second one, because like the second one also, the first one you also have different abilities, so it still does feel quite different, even if like the base like sword fighting and horseback riding is basically the same. There's still a lot of differences.
Okay. Well, maybe if I ever get around to playing them, I will, because a lot of people I've talked to have not been big fans of the route that the Zelda games have gone, with the open world style of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. So I haven't played either one, so I don't know, but
I actually have mixed feelings on it as well, but we don't need to get into that right now. We'll be here all day.
There is something Zelda related we do need to get into. But T-Man says, yeah, you start as Kirby. I just don't remember which one he was talking about. Well, in Subspace Emissary, you start as either Mario or Kirby. Oh, okay, there we go. Light World and Smash Bros. Is easy to make one-shot spirit build and done. World of Light, basically. Okay. I'll have to get some more info on that. Maybe that will help in my enjoyment of the World of Light.
Oh, you know,
Oh, go ahead.
When I played the single player stuff in Ultimate, I only used Captain Falcon, and I didn't use nearly as many cheese strategies as like what they're describing. So maybe that's why I had more fun with it than other people did.
Okay.
Because Captain Falcon is like a melee only character. He has no projectiles, and
I do like Captain Falcon. He's one of my favorites.
yeah, I didn't use like any spirits that make you start with items or stuff like that. So I think it's because I did that. That's probably why I had more fun with it.
Oh, well, maybe I need to try that, and maybe it'll give me a better mental image of my enjoyment of the single player. But Playtown is with me saying turn-based combat is SMTH. Assuming he means it's not good. I don't enjoy it, and that's why I'm mostly not playing the Pokemon game. Same here. The only Pokemon game I've ever played was Pokemon Pinball because I don't like turn-based. But
we can get into Pokemon if you want to. I've been playing it since Red and Blue. And then I actually stopped after Sun and Moon.
Well, speaking of that, as I mentioned, the next episode of Top 5 is going to be Switch games, and that's on the 11th. So that's this next upcoming Tuesday. Then 2 weeks after that, our next episode of Top 5 after that is Top 5 Pokemon. So if you're big into Pokemon and you wanted to join that panel.
Pokemon games or like the Pokemon themselves?
Just the actual Pokemon.
Okay. Man, I got to pick 5 out of how many are there?
I have no idea. I know most of Gen 1, and that's about it. Except for all the ones that I know past Gen 1, I only know because they were in Smash Bros.
Yeah.
So if that's something you're interested in, I know you've been on quite a few top 5s lately, so that's been cool.
You can put me down for that one if you want.
All right.
I'll have to think about it, though.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that's one that I will not be on because I won't be able to make it for that one.
Okay.
And I don't know much about Pokemon, so I'm not really missing a whole lot anyways. But I'll go ahead and put you down.
It's going to be on Jason's channel then?
It'll definitely be on his channel. I'm probably going to tell him just go ahead and do it on my channel as well, even though I'm not there. But I haven't entirely decided on that yet. But it'll absolutely be on his channel because he'll be hosting that one. So, Cool Pig says Final Fantasy 12 is better than Zodiac Age. I don't even know what Zodiac Age is. So,
Zodiac Age is the remaster. So he likes the original more.
Gotcha. Okay.
I haven't played the original in so long, so I can't even compare them, even if I wanted.
And Playton says the PC that he was talking about that's from 1999 does run, but there's no internet connection. Wow, I'm surprised it still runs. The Flame Mage is here saying, "Sup, bros? What's up, Flame Mage? Good to see you, buddy." Yeah, it does run Sweeper. Oh, it runs the Minesweeper and the pinball game. Oh, Space Cadet Table. I love
let's
that
go.
thing. I played the crap out of that when I was a kid. And Spider Solitaire. I liked. I didn't play a whole lot of Spider Solitaire, but I did like it when you won and then all the cards go bouncing around the screen. T-Man says, I like Mega Man more than Mario and Sonic. I will take Mega Man over Mario and Sonic and every other platformer of the time all combined. I love Mega Man. So, hey, Hayden Wayne is here. What's up, Hayden? Yo, good to see you. I don't know. Let's see here. How long ago was that? That was like 15 minutes ago, but I hope you're still here. Good to see you. And I got to get you on for open mic at some point. First run in Dark Souls, Playtime had about 70 deaths. Yeah. Almost as good as my 284. Flame says, Nintendo kids, I had to play Sonic at a pizza place, my cousins back then. Yeah, I didn't have
remember
Sonic.
When pizza places were good?
Yeah. I didn't spend a lot of time at pizza places other than like at the end of the year of like soccer or something, and the whole team goes to pizza. But I never really had much experience with like stuff like that, and like the skate rink would be the only experience I really ever had with like arcade games. So I have very very few arcade games that I ever actually played, but I always wanted to.
Without getting too specific, I grew up in the Western Washington area, so there were like arcades and video games are like everywhere there because it's the Seattle area. It rains half the year, so people are always inside. Video games are huge over there.
Yeah, and that's where. I know Microsoft is headquartered up there in that general area. I don't know how close it is to.
Both Microsoft and Nintendo of America.
Oh, that's the other one. I was like, I swear there's another one up there. I just wasn't sure what it was. Nintendo of America
and Valve.
Oh, that I did not know.
Yeah, they're in Bellevue, I believe.
Okay, I've been Bellevue once, long time ago.
Yeah, and then Microsoft and Nintendo are both in Redmond.
Yeah, that one. Well, I knew Microsoft was in Redmond. I didn't know that Nintendo was also in Redmond.
Yep.
Okay.
There's a bunch of really famous game devs and stuff from the Seattle area.
That makes a lot of sense.
But Seattle area is also very California, San Francisco-y, so it's not exactly a good thing.
I know exactly what you mean. Unfortunately, I am in California, so I experience it daily.
Yeah.
But T-Man says I like that game. I think he was talking about Sonic and the Black Knight. And Playtime was saying, "Oh, go ahead."
I was gonna say I don't hate it, Sonic and the Black Knight, but I recognize that it's bad. But I still did kind of like it as well.
Yeah, there's everyone's got their bad games that they enjoy.
Yep.
Which I think I swear we've talked about that on Party Chat before. What's a bad game that you enjoyed? But if not, I'm gonna write it down right now so I don't forget. So I'll check my list of topics we've already done. But I'm gonna write it down here just in case. Bad game you enjoyed. All right.
You want me to give you a curveball for that, actually?
Just go for it.
Bad game that I liked was the Dragon Ball Z collectible card game for the Game Boy Advance.
I didn't even know such a game existed.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the Dragon Ball Z card game back in the day, and I was the only one that I knew that actually liked it. So I never got to play it with anyone. So I got the Game Boy Advance game. And it's bad because there is one music track in the entire game. It's really cumbersome to figure out like what you're supposed to select or click on or how to like make the card game progress properly because it doesn't explain it very well. And when you play the card game itself, it's also like way more complicated than it needs to be, which is probably why it didn't catch on. But once you do figure it out, the card game actually is pretty fun. And it's pretty in depth and complex, and there's so many different like things you can do, so many different like card combinations that you can do that I liked it a lot.
Cool. Yeah, I had no idea because I don't know anything about DBZ. My only exposure to DBZ or just any Dragon Ball, because I know there's a lot of different like Dragon Ball like franchises or sub genres or whatever. But my only experience with Dragon Ball is Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and that was freaking hilarious. Did you ever watch any of that?
Yep, I've seen most of it, I believe.
Okay, and the reason why I saw that is because my friends were a lot of friends who were into Dragon Ball, and we loved Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, and that was hilarious. So we watched DBZ Abridged as well. So, but I had no idea that Dragon Ball had a TCG.
Yep, it did, and it didn't catch on. That's probably why you never heard about it.
That's probably why. Yeah. But Platon says he still hates the changes from Link from left-handed to right-handed. That was because of motion controls with the Wii in Twilight Princess. But on the GameCube version, he is still holding left-handed. And dude was the one who actually told me about this. The Wii and GameCube version of Twilight Princess are the exact same game, except the GameCube version, they literally mirrored everything, and that's why it's in his left hand. So that was pretty. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty intuitive.
And I never really understood that. Like, what you don't have to switch if you're right-handed and you're playing the Wii, and your character's left-handed. Like, how much more difficult is that going to be? I don't think it's going to be more difficult at all.
Yeah, because I was actually thinking about this before the Wii came out, because I got the Wii specifically for Twilight Princess. I could not freaking wait for
Yeah.
it. And I was like, but Link is left-handed. I'm right-handed, as probably a good majority of people are right-handed. Like, how is that going to work? For Twilight Princess, it wouldn't have mattered because, it just mimics the.
All
Like,
you do
just
is
have to
flick. You
swing
just
it.
flick the Wiimote. Yeah.
Exactly. It just recognizes motion, and if it's strong enough, then he'll swing.
Yeah.
It wasn't until not Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, where it actually had the one-to-one movement, so you can actually move your sword around just like this, because that was after they added Wii Motion Plus.
That
would
one
have
makes
made
more
more
sense.
if they actually switched it to left hand, but they did it with Twilight Princess, which they totally could have gotten away with it still being left.
I wonder if you or anyone else in chat knows, did the Skyward Sword, since it was 1-to-1 like that, did you have an option to switch Link to left-handed if you were left-handed?
I don't remember that being an option, but it was a long time ago that I played it, so I would not be able to say definitively.
Yeah.
But Playdon also says, I really thought Link would stay left-handed like I am. Oh, I got a lefty. Breath of the Wild is way better in my opinion. Okay. Divine Beasts are way better than the dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom. Divine Beasts like Raw, Obelisk, and Slifer? Speaking of Yu-Gi-Oh! A moment ago, I was a big fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! Both the anime and the TCG.
I did not get that reference.
Yeah, so
I did play a Yu-Gi-Oh! Game on the Game Boy Advance as well, though, and like the card game on the Game Boy Advance, and that's if you compare that to the Dragon Ball Z one, it's leagues above the Dragon Ball Z one. It's so much better. Like
the Yu-Gi-Oh!
Presentation, presentation, music, and just everything basically.
Okay. I call myself like a hardcore casual when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I'm not like good, and I haven't followed it since like Gen 2, but I do really like the card game. But yeah, I want to say it was like the end of season 2 was Battle City, and it was Kaiba had Obelisk and Merrick had Raw, and Yugi had one Slifer. Those are the 3 divine beasts. And so there was like a big epic match at the end of the season. That was pretty epic. But
I didn't like the anime when I was a kid.
Okay, but yeah, they were called the Divine Beasts.
Yeah, I was just a salty little boy. I'm like, well, this is stupid. They don't even follow the rules of the game. Well, they did break the rules of the game all the time in the show.
Well, because I'd watched the show for a while, and then someone actually taught me to play the actual TCG. I'm like, this is nothing like how they play it in the show. It's like completely different. But yeah, then there was the Sacred Beasts, which were like the knockoff versions of the Divine Beasts. Those were Raviel, Uriel, and I forget the third one's name. But anyways, like WTF is Colgera doing? You can literally beat him without any weapons just by falling down. I have no idea what that's referring to.
It's a boss in Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay.
You'll see.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Well, Quilpez says, just finished 100% streams on Breath of the Wild last week, starting Tears of the Kingdom this weekend. I like them both. All right. Well, good. Cool. 100%. I wonder, how long did that take you? Because I know that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are long games. Or at least they can be. Or if you're really good, they can be like 10-minute games. So you can go straight to Ganon and fight him immediately. But that'd be very
difficult. Since he 100%ed it, that means he got all 900 or so Korok seeds that are scattered around the map.
Yeah, that you got that golden poo?
Yes, he did.
I'm sorry to hear that. Although if there was an achievement for it when I play it, I would do that as well.
Of course you would.
Yep. Especially if it's an easy collectible. If it's like if they're super difficult to collect, then maybe not. But if they're just like pretty easy, there's just a ton of them, then yeah, I probably would.
You'll probably, I think the time that people usually say is 200 hours or more to get them all.
Yeah, probably the collectible that I hated the most was getting all they're called flying rats, but they were just pigeons in GTA 4, and there was like 200 of them around the city.
Oh my God. Flying rats indeed.
Yeah. But T-Man says, when playing World of Light, I tend to pick characters based on or closely related to the spirit fight. Okay. And put on.
That's an interesting way to do it.
And just use spirits. I don't want to fight some specific enemies. All right. Hey, a new you is here. Hello, a new you. I haven't seen you before, but welcome to Open Mic, where we just talk about video games and some other stuff. And Kay is here. What's up, Kay? Saying, I miss Sega GameWorks. I don't know what Sega GameWorks was, but Sonic and the Black Knight is fun. Swords and Sonic can't go wrong. Do you know what Sega GameWorks was?
No.
Okay.
I know what GameWorks is, but not Sega GameWorks.
I knew you said surely it was more than one save point, unlike the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game Boy Advance game. Yeah, the only Yu-Gi-Oh! Games I actually played were like mobile ones on like my phone or my iPad. I never actually played like any like the Game Boy or GameCube or anything. So I don't know how those ones played. But yes, I really like Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, Sacred Beasts were from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Okay. And Kay never got to GX, but I heard it's good. I love Battle City and like the initial stuff with Pegasus and the tunes. Yep, I remember that. And T-Man liked the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, but admittedly, early Duelist Kingdom had a lot of rule breaking. Absolutely did. So, Kay is saying that that is an arcade in Seattle, Sega GameWorks.
Oh, that's the one that I was thinking of then.
Oh,
I didn't know it was. I didn't know it was a Sega thing. I thought it was just called GameWorks. Did Sega own it, or did they like sponsor it, or what?
I don't know.
Oh, she says GameWorks was the official title, but Sega was involved. Okay, I didn't know that. I thought it was like a completely separate thing.
And then I got someone over on Kick saying that is just a very fine maypole in the back, sir. I don't know what that means, but thank you. I appreciate it. So
I don't know either.
Maybe it was a typo, but anyway, so what I was referencing earlier, since we've kind of been on the topic of Zelda, is that we have very differing opinions on a recent Zelda game that was on Switch that was a remaster of an old Game Boy game. Because I recently played like late last year, Link's Awakening remaster, and Link's Awakening was the game that got me into Zelda back in the day. It was I had it on Game Boy Color, so I had Link's Awakening DX, and I loved it. Played it a ton of times, and I didn't play it again until just last year when I played the Link's Awakening remaster, and I thought it was a fantastic remaster, very faithful to the original. Everything was basically where it was. It was like, you know, I don't know how to say it, but it was taking me back to being a kid again when I played it. And I know you are not a big fan of it, so I was curious what it was about it that you weren't a fan of. And Kay's in chat because she was talking about this on Melee Madness recently. She was not a fan of it either. Hey, and Black Belt is here saying, "What up, nerds?" I referenced you earlier because we were talking about Sonic Spinball, and I was saying how much you love Sonic Spinball. So perfect timing that you showed up. So
it's gonna be interesting because James is actually playing through it right now.
Yeah, that's why they were talking about on Melee Madness, because James is playing it. Yeah.
He's actually running into some issues that I never even thought about. But there are also things that you could kind of attribute to the original. So basically, my whole thing with this remake is to me, this is like the most bare bones, low effort remake I've ever played.
Really?
Because it takes the original game 1-to-1. It doesn't do hardly anything to make it actually better. For example, when you play the original, you have to pause and go into the menu and switch your items all the time. Mm-hmm. In the remake, they only did that for one item. They only fixed that for one item. The Pegasus boots, I believe.
Oh, because they mapped
isn't that assigned to like one of the buttons?
I'm pretty sure it was mapped to the R button.
And so
one of the I think it was the right shoulder button.
Okay, I don't remember which one, but they didn't use the entire controller. They could have had you able to assign, like, I think the trigger buttons are like completely useless from what I remember.
Okay.
Am I wrong about that?
I think you're right about that. Because I think I remember be like, hey, why can't I map some of these other abilities so I don't have to pause the game as much? And I couldn't.
Okay.
So I think you're right about that.
So they didn't use the entire controller.
That's a good point.
Because I think the part of their reasoning for that, I think, was that they designed it so you could play it with one single Joy-Con, which doesn't make sense because it's a single player game.
Yeah, I was
You
gonna say, I've
don't need you
never-
don't need the only reason you would use one Joy-Con is if you have someone else using the other one.
Exactly. I've never played something with just one Joy-Con.
Yeah, me neither. Because
So
why would you do that? Even if you're using two Joy-Cons, it's still bad. Like because you're just gonna have like stick drift or it's uncomfortable. For me, it's uncomfortable, and mine are basically busted now, so I can't even use them.
yeah, okay, that's a good point.
So-
yeah, if it's a single player game, why would you ever need to use an individual Joy-Con and not both?
Yeah. There's also the performance. Everyone complains about the performance. It dips below way below 60 FPS frequently.
I don't
Which-
remember really having performance issues.
Huh. I remember. Because whatever engine they used to make this game, they also used it for Echoes of Wisdom. Echoes of Wisdom performs even worse.
I have heard about that.
And-
I haven't played Echoes of Wisdom though.
Yeah, it's the exact same engine. You can see some of the like models that they used in the Link's Awakening remake are actually in Echoes of Wisdom as well.
Yeah, it looks like the same art style and everything, so I would assume they're in the
Yeah.
same engine.
Yeah, so even though it's the Switch, a game that simple should not be dipping below 60 in my opinion. When games like Mario Odyssey run at a constant 60, and even the first Hyrule Warriors runs at 60 even though it dips sometimes too. That game performs better than the Link's Awakening remake. Which is
I don't
crazy.
remember ever having any performance issues.
Yeah, maybe it's my Switch. I don't know, because I've also seen a lot of people say, "Oh, we don't have any issues either." But like, I wonder if it's just people who are just used to playing games at 30, whereas for me, I notice it like
I-
immediately when I see a game running at 30.
I typically do as well, so I'm pretty sure I would have noticed it if I had performance issues, but maybe I did.
There's also the thing that
it's
it's also like not a super fast paced game, so like the performance issues aren't going to like hamper you like at all usually.
true.
But let's see what else. I actually made a video on this topic a long time ago, and I still kind of agree with most of it.
I agree with myself. Okay,
I
will put that in the stream description if anyone wants to catch that afterwards.
yeah, it's old and not very good, but
Unless you don't want me to,
no, you can if you want. It's fine.
I'll go find it and I'll put it in the stream description later.
So my biggest issue with the remake is that what I said in the video was that it fails to capture the atmosphere and the feelings you get while playing the original. And a lot of that has to do with the presentation, the art style, and the music. I really do not like the music in the remake. I think a lot of it is really bad, just even on its own. Like, I don't like the sort of instrument style, I don't know what you would call it, of the remastered songs.
Okay, 'cause I was like, the music is basically it's the same songs as they were originally, just like essentially like upscaled. So
Yeah,
it's
they have
not like 8-bit music.
they have a different style it gives like a different feeling than the original songs do, and I don't like that.
Well, I will be playing through Link's Awakening again, like the original one back in the day, for retro achievements at some point. So I'll pay more attention to that when I do, because I like the music. I remember because of playing Link's Awakening, I found a metal version on YouTube of Telltale Heights, and I've listened to that like 100 times. It's freaking awesome.
Ooh, I can send you something interesting on when it comes to music covers of Link's Awakening. Actually, we'll do that. I'll
Okay.
do that after the stream.
Okay.
Where was I going? Oh, the one song that really, or the two songs, I guess, that really made me hate the music were the boss themes. I thought they were ridiculous sounding, and they don't. There's the boss music is supposed to like present this intensity or like a fear or something.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
neither of them do that in the remake. which is really bad because I think one of the major themes of that game is nightmares and fear, and it
Yes.
doesn't do that at all.
I don't. That's one thing that I've been trying to be better about it since I started my YouTube channel. I've met a lot of people who are like really into like video game music, whereas like I didn't really pay attention to music much in video games over the years. So I've been trying to get better about that, but I don't remember. I remember liking the music in Link's Awakening Remastered, but if I play it
So
again, I'll pay more attention to it.
right, I will give them credit for the dungeon themes though. The dungeon themes overall are pretty good.
Okay.
So that was probably the best part of the music in the remake. But there was another huge missed opportunity that they had, which was the Ballad of the Windfish song. What they did was they basically took all the instruments of the original one and just made it into a quote unquote better sounding version in the remake.
Okay.
But I think they should have like turned that into like a really epic like orchestral song or something like that, because
Oh,
that's
okay.
like the most important song in the game, and they didn't do anything with it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, and another thing is, like, a lot of this is really personal because I think, and this is probably a hot take, but I think Link's Awakening is probably the best story in the entire series. And
Oh, Link's Awakening is the best story in the series. Okay.
yeah, and I wanted them to expand on the story, and they didn't.
Okay.
So
I wouldn't
that's why
necessarily say
the
it's a
whole
hot
thing
take,
is,
but I
yeah,
haven't
that's why the
really
remake's
had a lot
really
of people
disappointing.
say that the Link's Awakening is like up there when it comes to story. But okay.
Yep.
I do know that my buddy Angry Canadian, he does not like Link's Awakening. I don't know why. Like even the original on our year-long gaming challenge, it's on his list of hated games that if he plays it and beats it, he'll get bonus points for it.
Huh.
But
Did he like the other? Do you like the other 2D games?
He's playing Minish Cap right now, and he's having a lot of fun with that one, which I never got a chance to play that one, but I'm looking forward to getting to it at some point. So
Hmm.
I think so. I don't know. I haven't talked to him like live in a while, so I don't know what it is specifically that he doesn't like about Link's Awakening. But I was surprised to find that out because that's the game that got me into Zelda.
Yeah, the game that got me into Zelda was Ocarina of Time, but I still think that Link's Awakening has the best story, even if that may have been entirely an accident. But
Yeah, the Ocarina of Time was, well, technically the first Zelda I ever like actually had my hands on and played was the original one on NES at like a cousin's house when I was like 4. And I
yep.
played it for a few minutes, so I know that I did, but I don't remember or or having any like impressions of it. The first time I actually like played it, not in its entirety, but a good chunk of it was over at a friend's house, and it was more so watching him play. And I was like, I wasn't really interested in it. And I'm like, this looks kind of boring. And then I got Link's Awakening on my Game Boy Color, and I was like, I like this game. And then once I beat it, I was like, you know what? Let me give Ocarina of Time another chance. So I asked for it. I think I got it for like my birthday or something, and then I fell in love with it. It's my favorite Zelda.
Yeah. Ocarina of Time is great.
I was talking about this on Dude Souls last night because it's been so freaking long since I played Ocarina of Time. I'm very much looking forward to playing it through it again. And I have 3 stacks of retro achievements now, so I can play it 3 times and get achievements each time. Because it's got the original N64 version, the Master Quest version on GameCube, and then the GameCube Collector's Edition, which has Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and the 20-minute demo of Wind Waker. So
For the original 2 Zeldas on the NES, I actually never got to try them until like 2013. I think it was when I got a Wii U.
Okay.
Or no, it was when I got my Wii in like 2012, where I got it at GameStop and it had Zelda 1 already installed on it.
Oh.
And
was that available through the Virtual Console?
On the Wii, I believe so.
Okay, I don't remember there ever being a disc that had original Zelda on it, but it definitely would make sense if it was available on the Virtual Console to download and install.
Yeah, you could probably get it on the Wii Shop, and there was a bunch of stuff on the Wii Shop that you could get that a lot of people don't really know about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had it already installed on there, so I played it through that.
Okay.
It also had another game installed on there, but I don't remember what it was. It might have been like Excite Bike or something.
Oh, that's classic too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never played original Zelda or Zelda 2, and so I was like, because I have a lot of Zelda games I'm going to play this year for the gaming challenge that I mentioned, because you get bonus points for playing multiple games in a franchise and in the correct order. So I was like, I've never played Zelda 1 and 2, and I love the Zelda franchise, so I got to fix that. So at some point this year, I'll probably be playing through Zelda 1 and 2 before I do Link's Awakening, which, not Link's Awakening, Link to the Past, because I've only played it once. So that's another one I'm looking forward to playing through again. And again, get retro achievements for it, which Dude wrote the achievement set for. And similarly, go ahead.
I was gonna say when I tried playing Zelda 1 and 2 all the way in 2013 or whatever, I didn't really enjoy them that much, so I didn't beat them.
Okay.
Because I'd probably because at that point I'm like spoiled and like, you know, going back to play something like that where it's like super archaic and obtuse and just wasn't fun.
That's segues perfectly into what I was just about to say, because in top 5, when we ranked our top 5 favorite franchises, Mass Effect's my number 1 and Metroid's my number 2. And because of this challenge, I'm playing through the Metroid games, and I had never played Metroid 1 or Metroid 2. And so because I played Metroid Zero Mission on Game Boy Advance, and I played AM2R on PC, but I never played the original. So I was like, you can play like remasters for our challenge. You just don't get as many bonus points. You get more bonus points if you play like the original versions. So I was like, you know what? This is one of my favorite franchises. I owe it to myself to actually play the original. So I went back just recently and played the original Metroid, the NES one. And boy, that game is not good. It's amazing that it spawned such a fantastic franchise, but the original Metroid is not a good game.
No, it's not. I've tried to beat that too. I'm like, no, this is boring. Like it's not just hard. It's not just hard. It's actually boring because like I've actually looked up the map of the entire game, and there is so much repeating stuff in there that it just gets so boring and tedious after a while.
I had the map up the entire time in order to make sure I was always going in the right place, because there's like no save points. When you die, no matter how many energy tanks you have, you only start with 30 health. So you're basically almost dead. Yeah. The only way to refill your health is to get an energy tank. There's no energy refill stations. Otherwise, you just got to farm enemies and just stand there and shoot them until you get enough health to fill up to fill your energy tanks back up. That was my number one complaint. If you just spawned with full health, I would have had much less problems with the game. And the map design, like it's the beginning of the Metroidvania genre, and it was kind of mind blowing at the time because everything was like left to right platformer, and now it's like you can actually explore and go different ways. But it's basically 2 maps connected by one little hallway, and so there's no like other connecting between the two. So if you have to go all the way back up, go through this one hallway, and then go back down to this other area. There's no other way to get around. So
right. I thought Metroid 2, even though it was on the Game Boy, was a much better game.
Yeah. So after I beat Metroid 1, I played Metroid 2, and I did the last bit of Metroid 2 on stream for Metroidvania Monday, because for our challenge, I said you have to beat him in the correct order. And I had been playing Super Metroid on Metroidvania Monday, and I was almost at the end, but I was like, I got to beat Metroid 2 before I beat Super Metroid. So I put it on hold, and I burned through Metroid 2. And that when we did top 5 Metroidvanias, my co-host Jason on top 5, Metroid 2 is his number 1 Metroidvania. He loves that game. Like he grew up as like one of his favorite games. So I just played Metroid 2, the original Metroid 2, for the first time just a month or so ago, and the level of like how much they upped it from the original, even though it was an original Game Boy game, it kind of blew me away how big of a jump it was. And yeah, it was. I really enjoyed Metroid 2 for the most part. I would still say, because I haven't played Samus Returns, the official Metroid 2 remake from Nintendo, because it's only on 3DS, and I don't have a 3DS.
I haven't either.
So the only
And I
versions
have a
I've played-
3DS.
The only versions I've played are now the original Metroid 2 and AM2R. I would still say play AM2R because it's basically they ported Metroid 2, but it looks and plays like Super Metroid. But the original Metroid 2, I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it, and it was a good game. I was just surprised at how good it looked and how good of a game it was for being an original Game Boy game.
Oh yeah, I love AM2R. I actually played that. I think when they announced the remake on 3DS,
Okay.
because I'm like, what are they? I'm like, why are they doing this? And I'm like, I'm just gonna play this other one instead, because
Yeah.
it's probably better.
A lot of people who have played Samus Returns say that AM2R is better, and they beat Nintendo with their own game. And so, but yeah,
Yeah, I was actually really negative about Nintendo during the Wii, 3DS, and Wii U era. There's only like a handful of games that I would say are actually great, and whereas a lot of the other stuff like from other franchises are like downgrades compared to the older ones.
Okay.
Like here's another hot take. I don't like Mario Galaxy.
Okay. I haven't played it because I think my hot take is I think Mario is one of the most overrated franchises.
It deserves a lot of credit,
Yes.
but maybe it is overrated. But I did not like Mario Galaxy. I liked Mario Galaxy 2 a little better, but I think Super Mario Odyssey does everything right that I didn't like about Galaxy.
Okay.
So
I know a lot of people-
Mario Odyssey, I think, is the best 3D Mario game, but I still like Mario Sunshine more.
Oh, you'd make friends with Anger Canadian. That on his top 10, that was like,
Yeah.
his, like number 4, number 5. Like he loves that game.
Yeah, that's a biased choice, but I think Odyssey is like, if I was trying to be objective, I think is the best 3D Mario game ever.
Okay. 'Cause I know a lot of people love Odyssey and Galaxy 2. I haven't played any of them. I haven't really had any interest. The last Mario game I played, or it's really my own. My first video game I ever owned was Super Mario World because my first console was a Super Nintendo. I got it for Christmas and it came with Super Mario World. So I played a heck of a lot of that. And then I played Mario 64, and that was about it. Because I don't really care for this all that much. So I haven't played really anything past that. And because Canadian loves Mario Sunshine, we each challenged each other to a game, and he challenged me to Mario Sunshine. So I will be playing that this year at some point as well for the first time.
Oh, nice.
But because you get bonus points for playing games in the franchise in the correct order, I'm starting with Super Mario World, which I haven't played in forever. And then I'll be doing Yoshi's Story, which I never played because I was like, that looks stupid. You know, you're babysitting baby Mario and he whines and cries. Like, that looks dumb, but I've heard it's pretty good. But I'll be playing Yoshi's Island for the first time. And then I'll be playing Mario 64 for the first time since it was basically new. And then I'll be doing Mario Sunshine.
Well, that's good because I think Yoshi's Island is the best 2D Mario game ever made.
Oh, okay.
I put it above Super Mario World.
And why is that?
Because it's... Oh, I don't even know if I could explain why.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's like, you don't necessarily have to have a reason why you like something. You just do. So
It's also very different. The whole Baby Mario thing sounds like it's annoying, but that's just a get good issue. Just saying.
So I don't know. Maybe I will like it more than I anticipate.
Yeah. So, well, the alternative is, you get hit, Baby Mario goes off into this bubble, and you have to get him back.
Right.
The alternative is you get hit and you die. You have to start over.
Oh, you mean as in Super Mario?
So
World?
it's actually, in that regard, it's not as challenging.
Okay, that makes sense.
But there's also like a score associated with how long you can keep Baby Mario without getting hit, and you have to get the max score in order to 100% the game, which is really difficult to do.
Okay.
But actually, just getting through the game and beating it is not too challenging, in my opinion, compared to like other games of that era, especially.
Okay. Yeah.
But the reason why I think I love it so much is because it was like the first Super Nintendo game that had this really striking, stylized graphic style.
Okay. Yeah, I remember the graphic style of it. It was significantly enough different from Super Mario World.
Yeah, and it's really creative. The level design is fantastic. There's some levels that are kind of like a maze, that feel kind of Metroidvania-y, I
Okay.
guess. But yeah, it's super fun. I love Yoshi's Island a lot.
Well, maybe I will like it more than I anticipate. So we shall see. But I haven't looked at because I'll be playing all these via retro achievements as well. I haven't. I've glanced at the Yoshi's Yoshi. Wait, not what? I said Yoshi's Island, right?
Yeah,
Okay, because there I was
Yoshi's
gonna mix up
Story
with
is the one
Yoshi's
on the.
Story. That's an N64 game.
Yes, I've never beaten that one, but I've played a little bit of it. We just never had. I never had an opportunity to play the whole thing.
I forgot that game even existed until I was on the Fuse Gaming Community app and I was looking for looking for Yoshi's Island, and Yoshi's Story was the first thing that came up because the search algorithm needs some work because you would think you put in Yoshi's Island be the first thing that comes up. It doesn't even show up in the search results. I had to say Super Mario World 2 in order to get Yoshi's Island to show up.
Oh
So I
yeah,
put Yoshi's Island, the only thing that came up was Yoshi's Story. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that game even existed. I never actually played it, but I do remember it back then. But I forgot it existed. But I'm sure there's probably an achievement on there for Yoshi's Island for 100%, but I haven't actually looked at the achievements yet. But you're definitely making it sound good, so maybe I'll like it more than I thought I would.
not to set your expectations too high or anything.
You're not someone else I just recently talked. I think it was Dude. He was a big fan of it as well. Did he write those achievements as well? Let me check. The retro achievement search is really slow. Yoshi's Island. No, it's DS. It's Game Boy Advance. Yoshi's not. No, Game Boy Advance. I want the Super Nintendo version. Are you seriously? It's the same thing on retro achievements where I put Yoshi's and it comes up with Yoshi's Island for all the Game Boy Advance ones, but not the actual Super Nintendo one. Oh, I had to go scroll way down here at the bottom. That's dumb. He did write, and not the entire set, but he did write some of the achievements for Yoshi's Island. He probably wrote the originals, to be my guess. So, yeah, it was Dude. He was saying that he was a big fan of Yoshi's Island as well. So, a few people I've talked to are big fans of it. So, yeah. So, catching up a little on chat here. Imp Black Belt said, hell yeah. I think he's talking about when I mentioned Sonic Spinball. He says, I don't know if you saw my autism rant, by the way. I don't think so. Yeah, maybe. At least not in the chat, unless you're talking about somewhere else. Figured out why some people just don't understand how people can enjoy Sonic. And Playdon said, my brother destroyed 4 pairs of Joy-Cons, and I bought all
Oh
of
my
them
god.
from my own money and didn't get anything back. Oh, your brother sucks.
Mine just stopped working the more I didn't use them.
Yeah, I barely use my Joy-Cons.
Joy-Cons are awful.
I mainly use my little third-party Pro controller here.
Yeah.
But I did
I've
use
got
them
a,
while
I
I
got a
was
couple
traveling.
I got a couple official Pro controllers. That's what I mainly use for Switch and PC.
Okay. Yeah, I use this because it's USB-C. So I use this for Switch typically, unless I'm playing it on the go. But I use this a lot
Nice.
more for playing my retro games on my PC. But yeah, Kay was saying that the Echoes has identical performance issues to Link's Awakening Remastered, and Grezzo
Yep.
is not good. No excuse for the performance. Who's Grezzo? What is
Grezzo is the company that makes the Zelda remakes, and I think they have some other games too. But their main claim to fame is the Zelda remakes since Ocarina of Time on the 3DS.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, what are some of the other remakes? I don't really know very many Zelda remakes.
Yeah,
but
I believe so.
did they also do Majora's Mask on 3DS?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe so. I thought that Echoes of Wisdom was their first original one that they made, but apparently they also made Triforce Heroes, which is
okay.
another one I haven't played.
Triforce Heroes. I've heard of that one, but I don't know anything about it.
It's like the gimmicky 3-player one. You can play it single player, but I heard it's not very good single player.
Oh, okay. You know what? I swear, I was just talking with someone on open mic not that long ago about some of these others, lesser known Zelda games, and they were telling me all about them, but I don't remember who it was. But okay. And she says she owns multiple Switches, and they all have the same issue. It's not the same release model either. One is a day one model, another is a special edition that came out much later. when they did improvements, and the same has the performance issues on all of them. I'm surprised I don't remember having any performance issues when I played it. And Flaming says, my Switch is very neglected. Mine is 2 for now, but once Prime 4 comes out, it'll get a lot more use. Unless I upgrade to the Super Switch, because I fully expect that it'll be a launch title on Super Switch. But I don't know if I'll get Super Switch on launch day. We'll see. Depends on my employment status at the time.
Just got to wait for April 2nd and see what happens.
Oh, what's April 2nd?
That's going to be their big presentation of upcoming games.
Okay, cool. April 2nd. Awesome. And Flaming said, Link's Awakening was great from what I remember. Yep, I loved it. Imps, I think he's saying that he's saying Link to the Past for me, assuming that means that's his favorite, which I know that's a lot of people's favorite.
Or maybe his first.
Or his first. Because
we were talking about that too.
That's true. Okay, is Link's Awakening is a great story, whereas Majora's Mask is a great atmosphere. Yep.
Absolutely
agree with that. It's awesome that
speaking of atmosphere
in Zelda games. Yeah.
Speaking of atmosphere, I kept saying that the atmosphere in the 3DS versions of both Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask look way off to me.
I haven't seen them, so I don't know.
I don't know if anyone in the chat agrees or disagrees with that, but I also haven't played them myself. I've just seen a bunch of footage and screenshots and stuff, and it just looks strange. Those versions look strange to me. Whereas I've always said that the N64 ones have aged a lot better than people think because of how they did lighting effects and all the magic effects in those games.
Okay.
I think those still look good to me. And the lighting, especially when you're fighting Ganon at the end of Ocarina of Time, is just incredible.
Yeah, there's a lot of N64 games that have not aged well, but I would say that the Zelda games have aged pretty well.
Yep.
So totally understand.
If you're talking gameplay though, then I get it. Because they're kind of clunky still.
Yeah. I haven't played them in forever, but I'm very much looking forward to playing through them again. And Ocarina of Time, I get to play through 3 times for achievement. So yes, and Majora's Mask twice. Oh boy. So looking forward to that because I love those games. In cases, but Wind Waker's best story for me. Yeah, I know she freaking loves Wind Waker. That's her favorite Zelda.
Wind Waker's good.
Though it needs others to really thrive, so it's hard to say it's the best in some ways. So, and Playdon says, I started playing Zelda Link to the Past a while ago. Cool. Yeah, that's another one. I played it once a long time ago, and it'll almost be like playing it for the first time when I get around to playing it again. And yeah, exactly. Flame Age says Metroid broke new ground. It did. It was like a game changer at the time. That's why it blew people's minds essentially at the time. But looking at it now, after 30 plus years of innovation in not only just video games in general, but just in that genre, it's it has not aged well, to put it lightly.
Yeah, I played A Link to the Past in 2003. So it was way after I had started playing on the N64 and even the GameCube and stuff. So I don't have it as high as other people do because it wasn't my first one. It was my 4th or 5th or 6th one.
Yeah, I don't have the nostalgia for Link to the Past, even though, I was a big Super Nintendo kid. But like I said, I didn't get into Zelda until, really the N64 era with, because that was N64 and Game Boy Color. And that's when Link's Awakening and Ocarina of Time were out. So I didn't actually play Link to the Past until probably I was in college. And so I don't have the nostalgia for it, but not this bad game, just, not up there, high for me as some other Zelda games. We did do a top 5 episode of Zelda games, and Dude and Melee K were on those ones.
Oh.
But we're definitely going to do a part 2 because I have a few people who were supposed to be on that panel and weren't able to make it. So whenever we do a top 5 Zelda games part 2 with a new panel, if you want to be on there, I don't know when it's going to be, but we'll do it at some point. And if anyone else
will absolutely be on there.
Okay, I'll go ahead and write you down on my list here while we're talking about it. Topics and Zelda games. Where is it? There it is. Lois will put you on there as well, so we know who to reach out to when we end up doing a part 2. Because we have no problem revisiting topics we've already done with new panels to get their top 5s. It's always fun. So, yeah. But Flame Age agrees that the Metroid sequels are more enjoyable. Absolutely. Oh, and Kay says that definitely is a hot take. Galaxy is awesome. So, talk about Mario.
Yep. I know a lot of people disagree with me on that, and that's okay.
Yep. Imp says Yoshi's story was interesting too. Okay, Majora's Mask had more issues than Ocarina of Time. I think it's a 3DS smoothing of graphics, different lighting, etc. Similar to Star Fox 64 on the 3DS, which had a different team. So, okay, I think she's essentially agreeing with you that the 3DS versions, there was just something off about them. And Grezzo's Ocarina of Time port was their strongest one. Okay. Yeah, I would like to get a proper remaster. If there was like one game I could pick, it would probably be Ocarina of Time. I would love to get that in like a modern, not like modern gamer, the modern audience, but like modern technology, bump it up to look just fantastic. Have you seen the fan creation of Ocarina of Time in Unreal Engine 5?
I think so.
I have it on my computer. You can download it, and there's like 4 or 5 different sections of the game that someone basically rebuilt the game in Unreal Engine 5, and it looks phenomenal. If we could turn that into an actual full-fledged Ocarina of Time remake, oh my god, I would die. It's beautiful.
I think the one I saw was actually Unreal Engine 4. That was a long time ago, and it never got updated.
My guess is it's probably the same one. They probably started it in Unreal Engine 4 and then ported it up to Unreal Engine 5.
Maybe.
But yeah, it looks beautiful. If we could get that as a full-fledged remaster, oh my goodness, I would do almost anything for that.
I think they will do it eventually. And the reason why I think that is because it would print money.
Yep, it absolutely would. It could be, especially since, but that's the thing is Nintendo always getting a Nintendo. It's like, let's make this super popular game and then make it available for a short period of time and then never have it available again. It's like, what the heck are you doing? You can have it available. Sure, I can understand not wanting to print it physically. There's no excuse for not having it available, at least digitally. So Nintendo makes some stupid decisions sometimes. But yes, that would be a license to print money because that is one of the greatest games of all time. And a remaster of some of these, popular console games on a 3DS does not count. And we're going to remaster this console game, but we're going to move it to a mobile device. No. And by mobile device, I mean like dedicated, not like Switch.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, Imp has mentioned that, and it was all the rage a couple weeks ago. But the PC version of Star Fox 64 was also Kino, which I had no idea what that was until someone said it in the Melee Discord the other day. Someone's like, "Oh, that's Kino." I'm like, "What the WTF does Kino mean?" Someone's like, "That means it's really good." I'm like, "Okay, thank you for translating." So I wouldn't know what that means. I would say, these kids in they're slang these days, but Imp and I are the same age.
You lost me with your hip young lingo there, son.
So thanks to just learning what Kino meant yesterday, I knew what he meant there. So thank you to whoever it was in Discord that translated that for me.
While we're on the topic of 3DS games, though.
Okay. Oh,
there was also 2 games that they put on 3DS that I think should have been console releases.
Okay.
And that was Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, it's Luigi's Mansion 2, basically.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, is that like a spin-off? Because I know there's Luigi's Mansion 1, 2, and 3, but I've never heard of Dark Moon. So that's just like the 3DS version.
Dark Moon is 2.
Oh,
and
Dark Moon, though, the only console it released on, though, was 3DS. Is that what it was?
3DS, and it recently got a remaster on Switch 2, which they sold for $60.
Oh, okay.
Why would you sell that for $60? Anyway,
Nintendo.
The other game on 3DS that I think should have been a Wii U launch title was Kid Icarus Uprising.
Is that the on-rail shooter one?
Yeah.
Okay, I've obviously never played it, but I have seen clips of it.
Yeah, I think that should have been a launch title for the Wii U. And half the reason is because of all the problems that I've said earlier in the stream about the 3DS. You have the hand cramps, which is doubly even worse on that game because you have to hold it with your left hand and use the stylus with your other hand the entire time.
Oh, that's how Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword was. Because you actually
What?
I have it. Yeah, let's see. Is that the one I have in here right now? No, I have Metroid Prime Hunters because I never actually beat that, and I'll be playing through that again soon here as well. But I'll be doing it for retro achievements. I'll finally be able to beat it. It's like the one Metroid game I played that I haven't beaten. But yeah, Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword here. It's kind of too bright, but was the game that Momiji, which is a fan favorite of people, she was introduced in this game. But the way that you play it is you hold it like this, and everything is going on this screen, and you control it through doing slashes and stuff with your stylus on the touchpad, up, down, right, left, doing combos and stuff.
Okay.
And that's how you played the game.
Okay, if you're holding it like that, it's not as bad. But if you're holding it on the left side, where you have to use the control stick on the 3DS and the L button.
Oh, like this? Like hold
Yeah,
it like a book?
but you have to hold it horizontally like you would normally.
Oh, you hold it like this one handed?
You hold it like that, yeah.
Okay.
So they actually released the game with
that way, so you can do this at the same time and use the D-pad.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I did
It's
not
really
know a
awkward.
game did that.
And so what they did was they released the game with like this stand that you could put your system on and play it like on a tabletop kind of style. And it definitely eased the cramps that you'd get from playing that game otherwise.
And this was the Kid Icarus game, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that game should have been on the Wii U because the way you're flying around and there's all sorts of stuff flying all over the place and you're doing like dodging and just all the stuff that's going on. If that was on the Wii U, that would have been an amazing looking game.
Okay.
It would have been like it's super like cinematic and like you're fighting against like enemies that are 50 stories tall sometimes. And you're doing that on this tiny ass screen.
You got a couple fans.
It's like, come on.
Because Kid Icarus, because it's talking about Uprising. Is that what it was? Kid Icarus Uprising?
Yeah.
Okay, because Imp and Kay were big fans of it, saying Uprising was fantastic and loved Uprising. So
yeah, aside from the issues I have with the system it was released on, it is a fantastic game.
Okay.
But yeah, I think if it was on the Wii U, it would have been so much better.
Yeah, Imp says the controls made it awkward, but it was an absolutely great game. But speaking of awkward DS games, another one, I don't have it anymore. I don't know whatever happened to it, but are you aware that DS had a Guitar Hero game?
I played that. Yep.
Yeah. So what it did is...
It has actually worked okay, surprisingly.
Yeah. So for anyone who didn't know about it, like I said, I don't know whatever happened to it, but the slot where your Game Boy Advance games go, you pull the little cover out, and there was a little attachment that hooked on here, and it had a little, cord on it to keep your hand in place, and it had 4. It didn't have all 5, but it had, because it's a little bit too small for that, but it had the 4 of the guitar buttons, like on your Guitar Hero guitar. Just didn't have the orange one, which is the bottom one, and you had a pick, and you strummed across the touch screen, and you held the key, the keys on here that matched the note highway. It was great. I loved that game. But yeah, talk about getting hand cramps on this little thing. My hand cramped a lot on that, but I had a lot of fun playing Guitar Hero. What the heck was that? On live?
On tour.
On tour. Thank you. That's what it was called. There was even a sequel, but I didn't get that one.
Yeah, it was on tour, and then the console release at the time was World Tour.
World Tour. That was Guitar Hero 4. I did have that one.
Yes. Yep. I think I have pretty much all of them on one system or another. Most of them are on the PS2. But yeah, I loved Guitar Hero back in the day, and Rock Band too.
Yeah,
Rock Band is the game that I've spent the most money. This is like the single game that I've spent the most money on, basically.
That's a good one because there's so much DLC.
Yeah, that was actually where I discovered a lot of the bands that I like today, like progressive rock stuff that I like today, like Dream Theater. I discovered through Rock Band 2. And Rock Band 2 and Guitar Hero World Tour, they were in both games.
Okay.
They had different songs.
I've mentioned that many times. Like a lot of my music taste came from just the Guitar Hero and Rock Band games in general. Introduced me to a lot of music, as did the Tony Hawk games and their soundtracks.
Oh yeah.
But yes, I was right. There was one more DS Guitar Hero. It was Guitar Hero On Tour Modern Hits, but I never played that one.
Oh, I don't know about that
actually,
one.
there was 3. There's On Tour. That's the one I had. There was On Tour Decades, and then there was On Tour Modern Hits. So there was multiple ones. and the original one on tour does actually have retro achievements, but the other two do not.
Oh,
Yeah, I just love the rhythm games in general. I have a decent amount of DLC in my Rock Band library. Rock Band 2, I got 100% of the achievements. That was one of my proudest ones, mainly because of the Bladder of Steel achievement. I have one achievement left in Rock Band 1 for beating the Expert Drum campaign. I was never able to beat Run to the Hills by Iron Maiden. That was a tough one.
oh God. Oh, and that song in Rock Band 1 actually was, they screwed that one up really bad because not only was it a cover, I think they had a cover of the song in that game, and
I played it.
yeah, and they actually released the original song as DLC later on.
Oh, okay.
And if you compare the two drum charts, they're kind of different.
Oh,
Also, the way Rock Band 1 worked was the red drum, the one on the left,
yes,
was the
also
the most important one.
Yeah.
If you missed a red note, you would lose more than you would any other note.
Yeah.
So, and because it was like the I think it's called a disco flip, is when you're doing the that one,
Okay.
and you do that throughout the entire song, so that's why it's so fucking hard. But what it's supposed to be is the red one makes you lose more because that's supposed to be the snare drum. But in Run to the Hills, the snare drum is on the yellow one.
Yeah.
But the game treated all of those hi-hat hits on the red, they counted those as snare drums. So you would lose a ton of points if you missed the hi-hats.
Oh,
Whereas
okay.
if you missed the snare, which was on the yellow, you wouldn't lose very much. So it was way more harder than it should have been.
Oh, okay.
More harder. Yeah, and then compare it to the
not know that.
it's either Rock Band 2 or 3 where they fixed that and they introduced the original song into the game, and it's actually a lot easier to beat because of that.
Oh, okay.
And I actually did it once after many retries because it's still really, really hard.
Yeah, I bet. Because
But yeah, learning to do the drums was way harder than all the other instruments.
that's my favorite. That's my favorite is drums. I got
Yeah.
really, really freaking good at playing the expert drums. I even got the Ion Drum Rocker, which is like an actual electronic drum kit. It just has the Rock Band drum brain, but you could swap it out for an electronic drum kit brain. I always wanted to do that, but I never did. But I had the three cymbals as well, so it was basically like playing a real drum kit, and that's why
nice.
I spent the most time playing Rock Band 3 because it had the pro versions of the instruments. So there was an actual on the note highway, instead of just being like red, it was like the red rectangle would mean the regular hit on the drum pad. But if it was the red, or actually
Circle.
it wasn't a red symbol because the symbols were green, yellow, and blue. But if the symbol was the circle instead of the square, that means you have to actually hit the symbol and not the drum pad. So you actually have to hit the right ones, not just the right color. And so
out of all those games
of Rock Band 3.
Yep,
And
out of all those games, Rock Band 3 is the best one, even though they dropped the ball with the keyboard
Yeah.
by not introducing keyboard tracks for legacy songs.
Yeah. And the fact that you could import your Rock Band 1 and 2 libraries into Rock Band 3, it was great. I never played Rock Band 4, though, because it was on the next generation, and the hardware didn't work unless you had, like, this adapter, and I didn't worry about it back then. I was like, I'll do that eventually, and now the adapter is, like, super expensive and hard to find.
Oh, Rock Band 4, when I got that, was probably the biggest case of buyer's remorse I've ever had.
Oh, really?
Because when the game came out, like I got it day one, I got the full band kit and everything.
Okay. I did for Rock Band 1.
The instruments were not working properly, like across the board. So you actually had to take your instrument, connect it to a PC, and update the firmware via the internet in order to get it to work properly. Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
and I believe I had to do that twice. Because I don't know why, but for some reason they just could not figure out how to get the latency to work properly with the original when the game came out.
Huh.
So they decided we'll just ship it anyway, I guess. And so it was a disaster. So for like the
Bummer.
first it was like the first few months or so, the game would work, but the instruments were not working properly. Especially the drums were the worst out of them all.
Oh, ouch.
And I think it was like 2 months before they were all fully patched and working properly. And the game also had frame rate drops.
Rhythm game?
Yeah, there were frame rate drops when the game came out.
Oh my goodness, that's pathetic. It's like these games are not graphically intensive. There's no reason that they shouldn't run at an acceptable frame rate.
Yeah, it was really bad when it came out. The game is in a great state now, obviously, after all the patches and stuff. But it's still they dropped the keyboard, which was disappointing. So I don't know. Rock Band 3 will always be the best. They'll probably never top that one, even if they decide to make a Rock Band 5.
Yeah, Rock Band 3 was great. I will never complete that one because I was talking about this on a stream recently when it comes to achievements, because there's achievements for basically beating all the pro careers,
God.
which I've done on drums because I have the pro drums. But in order to do it like the guitar and bass, you have to have like their special controller. And it's essentially like playing a real guitar. Because instead of just having the 5 buttons, each fret has 6 buttons on it instead of having strings. So you actually have to hold the right buttons on each fret, and then down where you would normally strum your little the little clicker thing, it actually has 6 strings, and you actually have to strum the actual correct strings and stuff. So like I will not only have I never actually had the instrument, I would have to actually get good enough to be able to do it. And same thing with the keyboard. You'd actually have to be able to play the actual keyboard. It's like that's never gonna happen. So I will never complete Guitar Hero 3 or Rock Band 3.
And I'm assuming you had the Xbox 360 version.
Yes.
I had it on PS3. So the problem with the PS3 version was that one also had a frame stutter. It would happen like once every now and then when you're playing a song. It wouldn't happen all the time, but it would happen every now and then, and it would screw up your run sometimes.
Yeah, if you're going for 5 stars, you gotta, if you mess up in the wrong spot, you basically need to start the whole song over again.
Yep. And the PS3 version also did not have all the DLC because they discontinued the PS3 version first before the 360 one.
That does make sense, but that sucks.
Yeah, so there's a lot of songs on the 360 that the PS3 does not have.
I did not know that.
But I think that it still had like 80 to 90% of everything.
Yeah, and with how big the library was for DLC for that game, that's still a lot.
Yeah. So when I got Rock Band 4 for the PS4, a lot of that carried over.
Okay. Yeah, I was.
Do you remember
Rock Band 4 because I love the games, but I never had the chance to play it.
Yeah, I don't know if they still have like compatibility with bringing stuff over still, but they should.
The DLC, as far as I know, does still transfer over if you upgrade like to the next one. It's just the problem is the actual peripherals and getting those to work with the newer hardware.
Yeah. Do you remember the Rock Band Network?
Yes. I don't. I never really understood what the difference between that and just downloading the songs off of the Xbox Marketplace.
So for us playing the game, there's no difference. What it was a way for the community to basically I don't think it's crowdfunding, but they would be able to make their own charts for certain songs. So
like crowdsource making existing music into Rock Band songs.
Yeah. So if they got in contact with the artist and they wanted their song in the game, the people could actually do it, and then they would host it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So if you can't see it on Rock Band 4, but on Rock Band 3, you can see songs labeled as Rock Band Network. They're usually like non-mainstream, more niche kind of songs.
That makes sense. Otherwise, if you're a well-known band, why would you do it for free when you could get licensing?
Exactly. So there was a lot of really interesting stuff on there, especially in the progressive rock genre, actually. There was
I was going to get to that real quickly before we get on that topic. New You says, Hades, Pit! And Imp was saying, Uprising had an amazing story, the aesthetics, the multiplayer. And Kay is a big fan of Elite Beat Agents on DS, and it's the best rhythm game. I've heard of it. I don't know anything about it. So, yes. So, yeah, I had forgot that we had briefly talked about this in chat on some stream recently. We're like, hey, we should talk about that on open mic. So, you remember? It sounded like you remembered what that was better than me. So, what was it that we were talking about, or that we were going to talk about when you came on open mic?
Oh, I still don't remember.
All right. Well, anyways,
I don't. Well, I
continue with something you were going to say about prog rock and Rock Band.
Well, I mean, that's kind of it. That's I discovered some interesting songs on the Rock Band Network because of that. They had, let's see, what's a good one? Sonata Arctica. Do you know that band?
I haven't listened to them in a long time, but yes, I love them.
Yeah, they're so good. They had Flag in the Ground by Sonata Arctica on there.
I know I've got at least one playlist that has one of their songs in. I just haven't listened to that playlist in forever, but yeah, maybe it was just prog rock in general, and I was like, yeah, I love prog rock. And you mentioned a couple of bands, like, oh yeah, I love those bands. I haven't listened to Sonata Arctica in a long time, but yes, I have liked a lot of what I've listened to from them.
Yeah, and the other one that I loved a lot was there's a band called, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's either Myrath or Myrath, Myrath.
I don't know that one.
They're a band from North Africa, actually, and
Interesting.
Yeah, they have like that sort of, I don't know if you call it Arabian or Middle Eastern or North African style is actually worked into their metal music.
Okay.
And it's really cool. They had a song called Madness on the Rock Band Network. And that was one of my favorite songs to play in the entire catalog, basically.
How is it spelled? The band name?
Myrath.
All right. And that particular song, what was that you said was your favorite?
Madness.
All right, I'll try to find something about that, and I'll put it in the stream description so people can check it out later, as well as Lowest Link's Awakening.
Yeah, it's a really cool song, and it was so fun to play, and it had keyboard support as well.
Oh yeah, there's so many of the songs don't even have any keyboards in them. So if you were a fan of the keyboard, you kind of got gypped. But it's cool that it was in it at all. But yeah, not a lot of songs actually had it.
I need to pull up the list because it's been so long since I've actually played it. Okay.
What was the name of that band? It's been so long since I listened to them.
Oh, I had a lot of Rush songs on Rock Band also.
Okay.
They're also like one of my favorite bands of all time.
I've liked I haven't really listened to Rush a whole lot, but I've liked most of what I've heard from them.
That's one of the good things that came out of Canada.
Oh, I didn't realize Rush was Canadian.
Oh, yep.
I know I had a friend in high school, or maybe it was college. He was like a huge fan of Rush, and he was also a huge fan of Coheed and Cambria. He's like, they're the modern Rush.
Oh, yeah. That's how I discovered Coheed and Cambria also, was Rock Band.
I don't remember if it was because of that or the radio, but there are a lot of Coheed songs that I do like as well. I feel like I saw them live one time too, but not like we went to go see them specifically. We went to see someone, and they were one of the bands that played.
Yep, and they had a bunch of songs by Yes as well.
Okay, I've heard that band name, but I've never actually listened to it, so I wouldn't be able to recognize it.
They had the song Roundabout in Rock Band 3.
Oh, then I probably would recognize that one.
Yep. And of course, a lot of their songs are extremely hard.
Oh, like difficulty-wise, not necessarily
difficult to play on Rock Band.
It's difficult to play, and it's also probably like hard, as in like heavy music.
Maybe by the standards of the 70s when they were around, yeah, or when they were big.
Okay, so maybe not necessarily that hard.
By today's standards, probably not.
Okay, yeah, I've mentioned this recently because I didn't grow up listening to a lot of this stuff until like high school and like college, because I had like this mental image in my head because of what I've been told about like some of these bands, like the best example was Kiss. I thought they were like these super heavy metal, devil worshippers. And then when the first time I heard a Kiss song and someone's like, "Oh, I love Kiss," I'm like, "Wait, this is Kiss?" And I was like blown away. I was like, "These guys aren't hard at all."
No, Kiss is just they just like make fun rock songs. That's basically it.
Yeah. So, and yeah, another, not quite to that level, but I never listened to AC/DC, and when I finally had a chance to listen to myself, it's probably my favorite band from the '80s.
I am actually not a fan of AC/DC,
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough.
but that's just me.
I love AC/DC.
I'm trying to find the Rock Band Network list, and it's not giving it to me.
AC/DC and Motley Crue are probably my two favorites from the '80s bands, and then my other, not a band but musician, Michael Jackson. Freaking love Michael Jackson.
Oh, here we go.
So
Let's see what else was on there.
Oh, you were able to find a list of some of those songs?
Yeah, they have the list of all the songs on Wikipedia.
Okay. Because the
I'm
Rock
just
Band
like-
Network doesn't exist anymore, right?
Right.
Yeah. I thought I remember something about it like getting shut down.
Yeah, I'm just hitting like Control F to find the prog songs that I liked. And on the Rock Band Network list, there are so many results. It's crazy. Oh, and Andromeda was another one.
That's one
Actually,
of the songs by this band?
No, that's a band name, Andromeda.
Oh, okay.
They have a song called Veil of Illumination that is it's like 17 minutes long, and they had, in order to make it work on Rock Band 3, they had to split it into 2 parts. And it's like the hardest.
Wannabe?
Oh, Dream Theater Wannabe?
Yeah, because I remember before I knew who Dream Theater was, one of my buddies told me like, yeah, their songs are like 30 minutes.
Oh yeah, they're in the same genre, but I think they're also like from a different part of the world too. So it's not like they probably didn't even know who Dream Theater was when they started out. But it's also that Veil of Illumination song is the hardest keyboard song I think in the entire catalog.
Oh snap!
Yeah, and I could not beat it.
When you mentioned Sonata Arctica, that reminded me of another band that's kind of in that genre. Do you ever listen to Lunatica?
I've heard the name. I think I have, but it probably was a long time ago.
I really like that because one of my favorite niches of Angry Canadian is here. What's up, Canadian? I've mentioned you many times on this stream, so you definitely got to go back and watch it from the beginning. Because we talked about Link's Awakening, which I know is your favorite Zelda, and we talked about Mario Sunshine. So, what you just had a light bulb?
Yeah, there was another thing that they dropped the ball with on Rock Band 3. They did not include a double bass pedal for the drums.
Yes, that when I had BD Jake on for our first open mic, we talked about Rock Band for like two plus hours. And that was one of the things that we talked about because I wanted to get a second pedal because I was really good at the expert drums, but some of the songs have so much bass pedal, I can't do it with one pedal. But I started looking into it, and the way that it works is it doesn't work very well, even if you get a second pedal, because like if you're holding one down, you can't use the other one. It's essentially sending the one signal, and it can only do one pedal at a time. So it's like,
yeah, it was unfortunate. The reason why I just remembered that though is because in the Rock Band Network, they actually have double bass pedal versions of the songs that you could download. But I don't think they ever did that in like the mainstream list.
There are some songs that it would definitely be helpful because the bass pedal is so rapid. And you could plug in a second bass pedal, but it doesn't work quite right. So I don't know if it's really worth it or not, but I would definitely always wanted to. But yeah. Oh, where I was going with that was one of my favorite subgenres is basically like metal or prog metal bands that have female vocalists. There's so many of them that I like, and Lunatica is one of them. That's one of the reasons why I really liked them.
Yeah, I've probably heard them at some point, because back in the day, actually, the main way that I discovered new bands back in the day was Pandora.
Okay, I never liked Pandora because it's basically like the radio where they're just playing stuff. Like I want to pick a band and listen to that band, or I pick an album and listen through the whole album, unless I have a specific playlist set up. So I don't want it jumping around all these different ones. So I was never a big fan of it. But if you liked discovering new stuff, it's great.
Yeah. And when I was younger, like pre-high school and high school as well, I actually loved the radio. So when I discovered Pandora, I was like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing ever," because I can listen to all these new songs and it's not just mainstream slop, and there's no ads if you paid
Yes.
for the thing. But
Yeah, the first one that I had was what the heck was it called? Shoot, I don't even remember what it was called, but it was before Spotify existed. One of my friends told me because we would talk about music a lot, and I was like, "Where do you listen to all this music?" And he told me about, "Oh, I use this music subscription service," and I was like, "This is amazing!" I signed up for it immediately, and it's basically the same thing as Spotify, but it was before Spotify existed. I don't even know if it still exists or not. Um,
the other one that I used was called Last.fm.
I know of that one. I've never used it myself, though.
Okay. That one was pretty good, but it was also based in Europe, so they actually stopped letting us use it over in the States because of some laws or something. I don't remember.
Nah,
Like, in order to use it in the US, you had to pay for it. Otherwise, you couldn't.
I don't. Yeah, I remember seeing their logo a lot, but I never used it myself. But I didn't know that there was anything like there was a forced paid version. But
Yeah,
yeah,
so that sucked.
T-Man says I mostly listen to video game OSTs, and the Canadian says, "Yep, same."
That's fair.
That's funny because I
You
never
know-
really listened to video game soundtracks until I met a lot of people like Angry Canadian.
Maybe this is a hot take as well, but I think there are some video game composers that are some of the best musicians ever of all time.
I wouldn't say that's a hot take, but I think there would be people that would think so, but I wouldn't say it is because yeah, there's some video game composers that are fantastic.
Yep.
And yeah, Canadian says he's been using Spotify for 10 years. Yeah, I've been using a music streaming service for well over 10 years, but I switched from whatever that first one was to Apple Music eventually because it had Siri integration. But a couple other bands in the genre, I was like, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but it's like, what are prog metal bands? And another one that I absolutely love is Nightwish. You ever listen to Nightwish?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I love Nightwish.
I think I think they put out a new album recently. Actually,
that
it was within the last year or two.
I was going to say, I know that they're from like, Northern Europe, but they're
Finland.
from Finland. Yeah, they're great. The song that I don't remember why I listened to the song, but I put it in a playlist and I ended up listening to it. And it's the song that made me fall in love with Nightwish was called Oceanborn.
That's a good one. My favorite's Ghost Love Score.
I'm sure I've heard it. I just don't know a lot of the songs, like what song they are, just based on the name. But I'm pretty
it's
sure
so
I've
good.
heard it.
There's actually another interesting thing. The keyboard player and songwriter for Nightwish, Tuomas, I think is his name. He made an album based off of Scrooge McDuck. One of the Scrooge McDuck cartoons or stories.
That's funny.
The Life and Times of Scrooge, I think. And I think the album is the same name. And it's actually really, really good. So if you're a fan of Nightwish, you'll like it. If you're a fan of Disney, you'll probably like it too. Like old school Disney.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm not a fan of Disney, especially not
me neither.
recently.
But yeah, like old school Disney cartoons. A lot of Nightwish's music is actually inspired by old Disney movies. Believe it or not.
Okay, I've not noticed that, but next time I listen to them, I'll kind of have to keep an ear out for that. What did you say that one was called? The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck, or what was that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what the album's called. Actually, I have it on my computer if I can look it up real quick.
I'll take a look at that. Speaking of inspired by things, are you familiar with it? I don't know if I'd call it in the same genre, but are you familiar with oh goodness, I just blanked on their name.
Life and Times of Scrooge, yeah. That's it.
Life and Times of Scrooge. Okay. Shoot, they're a metal band, and all of their songs are inspired by like World War I and World War II.
Sabaton?
Sabaton, yes, thank you. I blanked on the name.
Yep, I don't listen to them frequently, but I hear them every now and then. Like a lot of people use them in like YouTube videos and stuff, so I always hear them then.
My favorite.
But yeah, Sabaton's really cool.
Yeah, my favorite song from Sabaton is "Last Dying Breath." I freaking love that song.
I'm definitely more of a fantasy person though. So I like those stuff like Nightwish, like the fantasy inspired music.
Okay, that makes sense.
That tends to be my favorite.
Yeah, I like a lot of that too. Even though, like, when it comes to like the actual fantasy genre, like a lot of times it's like sci-fi versus fantasy. I'll take sci-fi over fantasy like 9 times out of 10. But I do love the fantasy inspired like music.
Yeah, there's if you want some sci-fi inspired music, I can actually send you some as well. There's one band called Aeon. Have you ever heard of them?
I have not listened to them in a long time, but yes, Aeyron, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and what that guy does, he brings in a lot of other vocalists from other prog metal bands and stuff, and then he creates this like sci-fi epic story. And I think each album is like a different part of the same story as well.
Oh, I spelled it wrong, but yeah, that's actually in this list I have pulled up here of prog metal bands as Aeon. I just spelled it wrong. Maybe I need to give them another listen.
Yeah, I actually got my brother into them, and he's a mega fan. That's like his favorite band ever now.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to give them another listen. But a couple other female-led bands that are kind of in this genre that I really like is, although I haven't listened to a whole lot of them, but what I have listened to, I really like Epica.
Epica's great.
Yeah, there's one song I've got in my playlist that I listen to this playlist all the time, and it's the same song, but one of them is done by Epica, and the other one is done by another band. It has a male vocalist, and the Epica version is so much better.
Oh.
And then probably one of my absolute favorite female-led bands is Amaranth. Are you familiar with Amaranth?
I've heard of them, yeah. I'm pretty sure I've heard a few of their songs in the past.
They're a bit more metal than prog, but
yeah.
I freaking love that band so much, and I listen to that band all the time. Amaranth is awesome. And it was funny because I've been listening to this band for a long time, and when people, started talking about this Amaranth streamer, I'm thinking about this band, and I was like, what the heck are you talking about? It's a band. They're like, no, it's a hot chick that's a streamer. I'm like, oh, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm talking about the band, and they're awesome.
Oh, yeah. I think I tend to lean more prog than metal most of the times. But there are actually a few like progressive, I don't even know if I would call them like death metal, but they're kind of along the lines of that I never thought I would have been a fan of normally, but there's one called, where is it? I'm looking right now.
Yeah, me too. Another. I've got a couple others to mention that may not be prog, but they're the ones that I really like.
Yeah, there's one called Mechina, which is like they're another one of those bands that have like all their albums tell a story.
Okay.
And each album is a part of it. And they're like a space opera, basically, or like a space epic story.
Oh, another band that's kind of like that I listened to a little bit is Glory Hammer. Do you know Glory Hammer?
Yep. I have one of theirs.
Their albums are a lot like that too.
Glory Hammer is definitely in the cheese category.
Yes.
I would say.
Yes.
Which is that's not a knock on them either. That's actually can be a good thing.
Yeah, one of the songs that I've got on my playlist is Glory Hammer. It's got like a laser powered goblin slayer is like one of the lines. I was like, this is great.
Mechina is definitely a lot more serious.
Okay.
There's another one called Irreversible Mechanism that I really love. And they're like their music's like super hardcore, but it's also really complex.
Like the actual playing of the instruments.
Yeah. And the vocalist, he doesn't always do like the super growly vocals all the time. He also has like a really good voice.
I don't like growling vocals. That's one of my huge turnoffs.
So they do both. He like kind of switches between depending on which part of the song it is.
If it's kind of scattered in it, I'm okay with it. But if that's all it is, I'm not interested.
Yeah. Mekina also does the hardcore vocals, but they also have a female vocalist in some of the songs, and they also sing normally, I guess was for lack of a better term, in some of them too.
Okay.
But they are mostly pretty hardcore. But they also like have some of the songs are really like down tempo and chill and emotional, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check these
So-
out and see if I like them. But I did pull up the playlist that I was mentioning. The song that I was thinking of is called Sacred and Wild, and Epica does it. And then the other, I've got the same song by Powerwolf in the playlist because I love. You ever listen to Powerwolf?
I know Powerwolf.
Yeah, Powerwolf, and a couple other bands along that line is Beast in Black, and
I know them too.
there's another one, Battle Beast. I think one of those spun off from the other, and then Brothers
Yep.
in Metal are all very similar, and they're all freaking awesome. But Powerwolf did Sacred and Wild, and it's okay, but the Epica version of Sacred and Wild is way better. A couple other bands that are female led that are awesome is Unleash the Archers.
I think I've heard of them. I don't know if I've listened to them though.
And then probably arguably my second favorite female led metal band is Within Temptation. Freaking
Oh yeah,
love
they're
that.
great.
That's more on the prog side, and I love that band.
They've been good for a long time too. They've been around since like the early 2000s, I think.
Yeah. So
I would, if of all those bands, they're like the closest to Evanescence, I would say. Like
yes.
if people are listening don't know what we're talking about, Evanescence is also kind of in the same genre, kind of.
Mhm.
And Within Temptation is like the next step away from that. So
yes,
I would say they're closest to Evanescence out of all these bands.
I would agree with that.
So if you like
That's
if you like
probably why I liked
Evanescence,
Within Temptation.
yeah, if you like Evanescence, I suggest looking up Within Temptation. That's usually what I would tell people.
Yeah, my favorite song of theirs is Faster. Love that song.
Faster.
got a lot of
I
good
don't
ones.
know if I'm familiar with that one.
It's on. Let me see if I can pull up which album that is. Let me go to. It's on the album The Unforgiving,
The
which
Unforgiving.
which is probably my favorite Within Temptation album. Lots of good songs in that album.
Oh, I remember this album.
Yeah,
I don't think
know.
I heard the whole thing, but
I definitely recommend the whole album. I don't know if there's a bad song on it. They're all great. So
well, I have some homework to do.
I do as well. So hopefully, maybe you introduce me to some new favorite bands. We shall see. But yeah, if you're looking for something that's like female led and is a bit harder, that'd probably be Amaranth, and Amaranth is awesome.
Okay. There's a few channels on YouTube that I recommend subscribing to as well. If you're interested in this genre, the first one I would say is subscribe to Prog Rock Doc. And what they do is they do like premieres or live streams of new albums every now and then that come out.
Okay.
And they have like a little small community in there, it seems, of people who just love listening to the music. So they can probably introduce you to some stuff if you go in their YouTube chat.
Okay. I'll take a look at that.
And then I have there's a bunch of like channels that upload really obscure albums as well. And I'm subscribed to every single one of them. So my feed gets filled with them sometimes. And some of the albums are not very good. But I've found some interesting stuff through these channels, and I have zero regrets.
Awesome.
And because it's all on YouTube, you don't have to worry about like ads and stuff and subscribing or like subscription fees and stuff like that. I mean,
Gotcha.
so
Well, cool. So, all right. Well, we're already over 2 hours. I mean, time flies by. So,
yeah.
and we kind of said roughly about 2 hours. So, One thing that we haven't talked about yet, so we don't have to talk about it a lot. But your favorite game lately? How's Satisfactory been going?
So I started having performance problems.
Oh,
So
because
I've
you're
kind
on an
of,
older rig, right?
yeah, I have a 1070. And
Yeah, I
I've been
watched.
doing all my streaming and everything on my 1070, and it's been working real well. My GPU actually has zero problems. It's my CPU that is having the bottleneck right now. For a game like, especially for a game like Satisfactory, that game's really CPU heavy because of all like the moving parts and all that.
Yeah, it's like there's so much stuff going on. It's like how
hmm
it seems like you need a supercomputer to run all this stuff.
Yeah, and I'm running it at 900p, and even then, it's not able to keep a steady 60 anymore. It's actually getting closer to 30 now, and it's like stuttering as well. And you don't want that for a first-person game. It actually started to hurt my eyes, make me feel a little dizzy.
Oh no!
So I'm gonna have to put that game on the shelf for a while.
Until you get a better rig.
Yep.
I know what that's like.
And all
but,
the plans I had for this mega factory that I was building.
yeah, we all suffer from
Gotta put that
performance
on the
issues
shelf,
as we
too.
get older.
True.
So, the one that you're playing on right now, is that the same save you basically started from the beginning, or did you beat it and start a new save, and or like what are
I
you
beat
working
it
on
and
right
started
now?
a second one.
Okay, and you're working on a mega factory, and it's like this is not going to work.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it, but the first save that I did, I built like a factory suspended over the water.
I
And
think
like
I
this,
did. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
yeah, and it's in like a black box because that's kind of the thing I was going for. A black box, a mysterious black box suspended over the ocean. Unfortunately, it's not big enough.
You never
But
have as much
I was able to
space as
beat,
you think.
yeah, I was able to beat the game with it, but it's still way too small for how much space you actually need.
Yeah.
So I did beat it, and then I basically unlocked everything that I could, and then I started a new one.
Okay.
And now that I'm building this giant factory now, my PC doesn't like it, so I'm gonna have to save it for another time. So
Alright.
right now, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. You finish first.
I was gonna talk about what I've been playing lately instead.
Oh,
But
okay. I was gonna say a similar situation for me. I mean, this was when I was a kid. I got um, a game that I loved back then, and is my favorite series of Star Wars games. Is the Jedi Knight games, or was originally
Mhm.
it was Dark Forces, and I was super excited when I got this Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight, and my computer wasn't powerful enough to run it at anything like over a single digit frame rate. So I was super excited, and then I played it. And I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
this is not playable. So I had to wait a while until we got a better computer so I could actually play it. Um, so at
Yeah,
least you were
my
able to beat it before it started giving you too much trouble. But yeah,
my first experience with that was when I got Black and White 2.
it's funny that you mentioned that because I had never even heard of this game until recently because it's the number one voted game on the GOG's dream list of games. People can vote on the games that they want
As it
on the
should be.
GOG, and Black and White 2 are like up there at the top. I have no idea what this game is, why it's so popular. I'd never even heard of it until recently. What is Black and White?
Well, I was actually surprised to learn it was as popular as it was because when that game came out, it was a massive disappointment for a lot of people because that
So
was
it's
the
a
one.
cult hit then.
It's a cult. I think so, but maybe I was wrong about that. Maybe it's way more popular than I thought. So who knows? But the main reason why that's number one is because it's basically abandonware now,
Oh, okay.
and if you get the CD-ROM, getting it to work on Windows 10 or 11 is
Nearly
tedious.
impossible.
I got it to work on mine, but it does have some problems. Like for some reason, the mouse, when you like pivot the camera around, it doesn't work properly for some reason.
Like, what genre of game is this?
Oh, it's a God game,
Okay,
and
I was asking someone about this recently while we were talking about GOG, and that's right. They told me it's a God game. So
so it's a God game and a town builder, kind
Okay.
of into one. And it's also you have like this creature that you raise and make fight other creatures as well. So there's a lot of stuff like in this one game that came out in 2001. So it was a game that's both ahead of its time and also a game that underdelivered on a lot of the promises that Peter Molyneux made, if you recognize that name.
Oh, I absolutely do. I mention him
Yeah.
often. Talk about like the scummy salesman of the video game industry.
Oh yeah, he actually has a new game coming out soon that we'll talk about that in a
Does?
bit. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit actually
Oh,
because it's related.
okay.
But so when I went into Black and White 1, I had zero expectations whatsoever, and now it's in my top 5 favorite games of all time
Wow.
because the game allows you so much freedom that most top-down games on PC don't. There's so much stuff you can do in that game. There's so many little hidden Easter eggs. There's so many like different ways you can complete the game because you can be good or evil, for example. And like there's a bunch of quests in the game that have different solutions to each problem. Usually the evil version just involves killing everyone, but yeah, it's so much fun. And like it's one of those games like if you play it at just the right time, like I did back when I was like 13-ish, it's one that like really sparks the imagination. So you get I got really attached to it.
Was it originally a PC only game, or was it on
Yeah, it's
console?
always been PC only. It
Okay.
would probably not work very well on consoles because the main way you play the game is you control a 3D hand in the game world with the mouse.
Hmm.
I mean, I guess you could use that if you rig the hand onto like your control stick, but it wouldn't be the same because you actually have to. So you can like pick stuff up with this hand, and you can throw stuff and place stuff down wherever you want. Throwing actually involves like holding the mouse button, dragging back, and then pushing forward with the mouse and letting go.
Okay.
So like as if you were actually throwing something.
Right.
So it feels like really tactile and hands-on, and it's super immersive for a game that came out back then. You know, obviously the graphics look like garbage compared to today, but from back then it was amazing. And then when Black and White 2 came out, it required something from the GPU that our computer didn't have, which was called Pixel Shader or something like that.
Okay.
Because our computer was from like 2001, and that game came out in 2006. So
Okay. So yeah, that's pretty.
couldn't run it at all until I got a new laptop in 2012. So I held on to it for a long time.
So before we get on to Peter Molyneux, Angry Canadian says, I went back in time for a bit. I'm triggered. Not a fan of 3DS, I see. Well, I never had one, so I can't say. But yeah, it sounds like Lois was not a huge fan of. Maybe the worst part was probably the form factor, not necessarily the technology itself.
Yeah, basically.
So
I don't like the 3DS. But like that's also, I said earlier, that was the era I was really critical of Nintendo. And part of it was actually their game design philosophy in that era. Because everything was getting a lot easier, a lot more hand-holdy,
okay.
and just less fun to me in general.
Okay.
But on the topic of Peter Molyneux, though,
Yes.
I love his games. I absolutely love his games, even though like he's regarded as like one of the worst people of the industry, and it's utterly deserved. Especially because he went into like the NFT zone and all that.
That does not surprise me in the least.
Yeah, so he has an NFT game. I don't know if it's still active or not, but it was
so he already.
disappointing.
Okay, so that's already out. That's not the one that he's working on right now.
No, the one he's working on now, I always forget the name of it, but it's something Albion. And if you know,
I've heard of that one. Yeah, good luck figuring out how to spell his freaking name.
Masters of Albion is the
Masters
name
of
of the
Albion.
game that's coming out.
So
And
is he
this-
able to work? Because is it? I'm assuming it's tied to Fable, but
Yes.
he doesn't have. Is he still with because it's what was it? Lionhead Studios. They're the ones. that have-
Lionhead Studios is gone because of Microsoft.
Oh, what's the studio now that's in charge of Fable?
Playground Games,
Playground.
and they are doing. They're the ones that do Forza.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the Forza crew. They're doing Fable.
Yeah, they're doing Fable. Maybe they have like another team that's working on Fable or something. I don't know how it all works, but
Is Peter Molyneux with Playground Games?
no,
But he's making an Albion. Like, how does he
Oh,
have
so-
the rights to work on a Fable game without? Are they
Albion is
licensing it to him?
actually Albion's actually an old English name, so they actually can't copyright the name Albion.
Okay, so it
I
just has
think-
that name, but it's not necessarily tied to the Fable franchise. It
Yeah,
may
let
be
me
just
look it up real
inspired
quick.
by?
Albion is an alternative name for Great Britain. The oldest attestation of the toponym comes from the Greek language.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I'm assuming it's not related
Yeah.
to Fable, maybe inspired by, but not actually connected to it in any way.
It's actually looks if you I can't post the link in chat, but if there is a Steam page for Masters of Albion, and it's actually looks like a successor to Black and White.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, because I had heard of this game, and now you mentioned I heard that Peter Molyneux is attached, but I was confused. I was like, how is he working on a Fable game when he's not with them anymore? Because it's just the same name, but has no actual correlation to the Fable franchise.
Yeah. So Albion is basically just a name for England that they used for Fable because the whole world of Fable is inspired by England specifically.
That makes sense. It's very, very British.
It is very British.
T-Man. Also,
Yeah, and-
Albion is the name of a dragon. I don't know what dragon that
Is it?
but okay.
What was I going to say?
Something about Peter Molyneux?
Yeah. So I love his games. I love the way he designs games and stuff like that. But yeah, he deserves all the criticism that he gets because he's definitely a shyster.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I've played from him was Fable 2.
Yeah, and I actually love the first Fable a lot.
A lot of people think I heard that that's the best one.
I would say so. I haven't played Fable 3, but I have played Fable 2. I thought Fable 2 was a massive disappointment,
That's what
but
I've heard from a lot of people.
but it's not bad.
better.
It's not a bad game. It's
Right.
definitely a good game if you get it cheap because it's really short.
'Cause I heard that was the biggest complaint about Fable 1 was how it's pretty short. Because I wouldn't say Fable 2 was short, but I didn't feel like it was long. It was probably like 20 or 30 hours, kind of like right in the middle.
Fable 1 is longer than Fable 2,
Oh, really?
from what I remember.
Okay, because that was the main complaint I heard about Fable 1 back in the day. Is that
Though
it
I
was too
think-
short.
I think it depends on how you play it. If you beeline through the story, like the main story, Fable 1 might be shorter. But if you do
Oh.
like all the side quests and play around in the overworld and do all that stuff, then Fable 1 is probably longer.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, since you're a big fan of Fable 1, did you play what was the Lost Chapters? There was like a remake or a remaster
Yeah.
of did I have that right? Is the Lost Chapters? Is that the one?
Yeah, the Lost Chapters it's not a remaster, it's more like an expansion pack.
Oh, okay.
So they released Lost Chapters that includes the full main game and then the extra story at the end,
okay.
which is I don't know if that was supposed to be there with the original game or not. But if it was, that might be one of the reasons why people were disappointed with the original game. But the Lost Chapters is the best way to play it on the original Xbox.
Oh, the Lost Chapters was an original Xbox. Oh, it's Fable Anniversary is what I was thinking of.
Yeah, that was like the remaster re-release or whatever.
Yeah, that came out in 2014. That was a 360 game.
Yeah, I have
That's
not
one
played. I have not played that. I think it's on Steam as well, if I remember correctly.
Okay, probably, but that's the one I was thinking of. So you haven't actually played that one then.
Yeah, it's on Steam, and yeah, I haven't played that version.
Okay. Well, that answers that question then.
It looks like they added something.
Yeah, I don't know the difference between the Lost Chapters and the Fable Anniversary, but Fable Anniversary says it's 20 to 25 hour completion, for everything. So
Right. Yeah, it looks like they added to Fable Anniversary, they like added some more outfits and DLC and stuff.
Okay, yeah,
It's like cosmetic stuff, basically.
yeah, Fable 2 is slightly longer, but that's because there's a couple DLCs for it. But yeah, about the same time.
Oh, yeah, I
That's
never played the DLCs for Fable 2. I just played it on the someone else's 360. So I basically beat it in one or two nights. I was like, that was it. So that was the main reason it was disappointing to me.
Gotcha.
Well, and also there's also that ending. If you know, you know.
Because there were 3 endings in Fable 2? Or was it just one?
With the original version, there's pretty much just one ending with 3 choices at the end that don't matter that much. Just because after you do that, there's like not much left to do in the game.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I was like, I swear that there was 3 options you had.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you're referring to without. I'm assuming you're trying not to spoil anything.
I'm trying not to, yeah. Because like if you haven't played a Fable or Fable 2, I think you still should. Because they're just fun. Like they're just fun little games. Like you go and play them and you have fun in the world and dick around and fart on people and do all sorts of crazy stuff.
And kick chickens.
Yep.
Yeah, Carl's a big fan of Fable.
Yeah, and as far as the new one that's coming out, I don't think it's going to be a good game. Because the overall vibe I get from like the trailers and stuff, it does not feel like Fable to me.
Yeah.
It feels like a cheap Fable knockoff.
I can understand that. Even though I've only played one game, I can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, it sounds like they're trying to be more like clever with the humor, but
Yes.
Fable was never a clever game. It was crass, it was crude, it was goofy, it was off the wall, it was, you know.
Yeah.
And the other thing about the Fable trailers, they don't show us gameplay of the player doing things that we like to do in a Fable game, like customize our character, be good or evil, interact with the world around us. I mean, they might have showed like a little teaser of that, but it looked staged to me. It doesn't look like a real gameplay.
Okay.
So, yeah, and they recently announced they delayed it to 2026, and
I just saw that like yesterday.
It probably needs it.
Yeah, no. I don't really have much of an issue with the delays, especially since I've got so much freaking stuff to play. But for the people who are looking forward to it, I'm sorry, but yeah, I think it'll still do okay just based off the Fable name, but I don't think it's going to do that great.
Yeah, I think it'll sell decently at first, and then it'll probably.
It's basically my same prediction for AC Shadows. It'll sell based on the name, but I don't think it's going to do very good.
It's such a weird case because you have a developer working on it that has never made a game like this before. It could either be really good and surprise us, or it could be a trash fire.
Yeah, it's like,
and I'm leaning towards.
Let's make an RPG. What?
Yep, I am leaning towards trash fire, but you never know.
There have been enough red flags, but yeah, they could sneak one by us and pull out a win. But we will see when it comes out.
Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people like to focus on like, oh, the main character looks ugly. It's like characters in Fable have always looked ugly.
That's one of the points that Carl made when we were talking about it recently. He's like, it's the character being ugly is like kind of part of the joke.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, your main character doesn't seem to be the butt of any joke yet, except for the one little random comment that one guy makes about having high cheekbones or whatever. That was the only thing in the trailer that actually referenced that.
Yeah. Not like we've gotten a lot to go off yet, though.
Yeah, there's not a lot, and like all of the gameplay they showed does not look like gameplay at all. It looks like staged gameplay. So definitely needs a lot more time. And it's fine if the main character's ugly if you can customize them and make them not ugly, because one of the options you have is to make your character look attractive. And if you can't do that, then we got a problem.
That's one of the things I've been hearing people talk about is like, are we locked into this character? It's like a Fable game. We should be able to choose, if we want to play male or female, we should be able to, customize our character, but they haven't shown us any of that yet, which is a bit worrisome.
Yeah, like you don't even have a male character yet. Why don't you
Yeah.
have a male character yet? You should have that done already.
Yeah. Or do they, and they're just not showing us? It's like, if you had your thumb on the pulse, that at least showing you have a male option would definitely help alleviate some tensions, I guess.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't even know if I'm going to play it. Like I said, I've only played Fable 2, so it doesn't really matter much to me.
It's definitely a wait and see.
But do you have any upcoming games that you are looking forward to?
There's a Metroidvania I want to play soon, but right now I'm caught up in some other stuff. But it's Ender Magnolia.
Oh, I played Ender Lilies, and I thought it was not bad. And one of
I
my
think
buddies
it's one of the best Metroidvanias actually.
was okay.
Ender Lilies.
Maybe did you do a video on Ender Lilies?
I streamed it. I didn't do a video on it.
Okay, because I was just watching a video recently, and someone was like, the video I was watching, I don't remember who it was, but it was like, could not stop singing the praises of Ender Lilies. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was like amazing, but I thought it was definitely, like 7.5 if I had to give it a rating. I thought it was okay. I had a problem with it at the beginning because the leveling didn't feel right, and I was basically like gated because I couldn't beat this boss. So I had to go grind out some more XP, and then the rest of the game was, kind of pretty on par for what I expected. So that was a bit frustrating. But overall, I thought it was a decent game. But one of my Metroidvania buddies, he played Ender Magnolia already, and he said he really liked it. So I will definitely be playing it as well at some point. It probably won't be anytime soon. But I've heard good things about Ender Magnolia, so cool.
Yeah, I think it's just because I love the atmosphere and the style of it a lot. And I'm a sucker for cute main characters. That's why Rabby Ribby is also up there as one of the best Metroidvanias ever made, in my opinion.
Interesting. I have that on my Steam library, but I haven't even launched it yet. So you're a big fan of that one?
Yep, I think that game will surprise you.
Okay.
It surprised me.
I don't know. Again, I don't know when I'll get to it, but I will be playing it at some point.
But yeah, Ender Magnolia has a physical Switch version, but it's
that's
only
right.
in Asia. But it does have English, so you can import it. But there's no North American version, basically.
Oh, that's a bummer.
I think what I looked up, the Japanese and the like general Asia version both have English in them, so you can pick either one
Okay.
if you want a physical copy. There's another one though that came out recently. Oh yeah, Ender Magnolia. It's not an upcoming game; it already came out.
Right.
But there's another
just
one
came out recently.
Yeah, there's another one that came out recently called Blade Chimera.
Yes, DJ Axis has streamed that a couple times recently. I have the demo. I have not played it yet, but I will be playing that on a Metroidvania Monday at some point. And the little like video they have on Steam to like the elevator pitch looks awesome.
Yep, that one was made by the same team that made the Record of Lodoss War one.
Oh, I did. Oh, was that Team Ladybug?
Yes,
Okay,
it's Team Ladybug. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
that's why I'm excited for that one too, because I thought that was a really good one. Even though I know nothing about Record of Lodoss War, but I still liked the game.
Say here. So the only reason why I played Record of Lodoss War, D-Lit, and Wonder Labyrinth is the full name of the game, is because it was on Game Pass, and it's a Metroidvania, and that's my genre. So I played it, and I really enjoyed it. And that's actually in our year-long gaming challenge with Carl and Canadian and I. That's the game I challenged Canadian to, so he'll likely be playing it at some point this year.
But I played that.
I'd never even heard of Record of Lodoss War, and I still know absolutely nothing about it, but I enjoyed the game.
That one was weird too, because they released it in Asia, or maybe it was just Japan, and they had English in the game already. And then they released the international version like a year later for some reason, even though it already had English. It took them like a year to release the international version. So I got the Japanese version with the kind of stunted English, It's
Okay.
not perfect.
I
And
bet you Canadian probably has that version as well because he's in Japan.
okay. Yeah, it had some glitches in it too in the
Oh,
original version. They might have been ironed out since then, but I had like a few game crashes when I played it. So that was kind of weird.
it's funny because without looking it up, I swear this game was also Team Ladybug, and it's in the exact same category where it's a Metroidvania. I'd never even heard of the franchise before, but I played it because it was on Game Pass. It was pretty fun. Was Two-Who Luna Nights?
Oh yeah. I have that on my list. I haven't played it yet though.
That was another one that it was both of these games were on Game Pass. They're not anymore, but they were, and so I played them. And that one was interesting. Had some cool mechanics, and it was pretty short. But again, I had no idea what was going on in the world because it's like the fourth game in a 5-game franchise, and it's the only one that's actually a
Oh yeah.
Metroidvania, and it's the only one that's on Xbox. So
There was actually another one I got suckered into playing. It was Toho. I forget the name.
Luna Nights is the only Toho game I know of, so I wouldn't be able to answer that for you.
There's so many goddamn Toho games.
Really, I'd never even heard of the franchise until this game was on Game Pass. I didn't know it was a big franchise. Although
It's like an open source IP, so they have like you can like make fan games of it and actually monetize them.
interesting. I don't know if this is accurate because I'm not a weeb. Maybe you know better, but in both the cases of Lodoss War and Toho, I think that they're more known for their anime and their manga than their video games.
I found it.
Would that be accurate?
Sorry, can you say that again?
In the case of Lodoss War and Toho, Tuhu, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but from what I've gathered, and I could be wrong about this, is that those franchises are more known for their anime and manga than video games. Do you know if that is accurate statement?
Record of Lodoss War actually goes back to the 80s, and it was actually, I think, a novel first.
Oh, I did not even know
It does have an anime. I think the anime is probably the most famous adaptation of that exists to this day. I'm pretty sure. But it's like a multimedia franchise. It's been around for a long time.
I did not know it's been around that long.
And for Toho, I believe it actually did start out as video games. The older Toho games are like shoot 'em ups, and they're also like brutally hard.
Do you happen to know what any of them are? The ones that
No, that's where my knowledge ends basically.
Okay.
So I found the game that I got suckered into playing is called Kumaju Remilia Scarlet Symphony.
Never heard of it.
It's a 2D platformer that I thought was a Metroidvania because it still has the Metroidvania tag on Steam, but it is not a Metroidvania. It is a Classicvania.
Oh,
it plays like
platformer,
Dracula. Yeah, it plays like Dracula X or Castlevania 4.
Yeah, Steam genre tags are very liberal. Not liberal.
Yeah, they're defined by the users, so
exactly.
that's why
They're not like
they get it wrong. They get it wrong a lot.
Exactly. Whereas, like I always reference, like True Achievements, they're very stingy and conservative with their use of what genre certain games are. So, some games on Steam will have very different genres than they will on like True Achievements. So,
but this game is actually pretty cool though because they use like the art style of Castlevania, but it's in the Toho universe, so all the Toho characters are drawn like Castlevania characters.
Okay.
And it actually looks really cool. But yeah, it's not a Metroidvania, so I was not enjoying it very much.
Yeah, I haven't played I played very little of the actual Castlevania games. Like I said, Sci-Fi versus Fantasy.
Why don't I do this?
I'll take Sci-Fi almost every time, and a perfect example of that is Metroid over Castlevania. But I do have most of the Castlevania games via the different collections they've released. I haven't played them yet, but I will be. But the ones I have played, of course, obviously Symphony of the Night, because that's a staple of the Metroidvania genre. It's half the name of the genre is because of Symphony of the Night. And then the other ones I played are the Lords of Shadow games. So the first one was a hack and slash, and I played that back when it was new. I actually just played Lords of Shadow 2 for the first time, and I beat it like last night. So I'm coming fresh off of Lords of Shadow 2 for the first time.
Okay.
But there was Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate, which was originally like a Vita game, and they ported it to DS, and it was an Xbox Live Arcade game. And I just played that recently as well, and that actually takes place between the two games. But that one is a 2D hack and slash Metroidvania like Symphony of the Night, but it's not as good as Symphony of the Night. But because Lords of Shadow 1 was a level-based, very linear hack and slash game, Lords of Shadow 2, the argument could definitely be made that it is a Metroidvania because it's basically like a 3D hack and slash open world that you traverse back and forth through areas, and you have to, in order to get to certain areas, you need new abilities, and there are collectibles and stuff in areas that you can't reach until you have certain abilities. So it would definitely qualify as a Metroidvania, which I was surprised because I haven't actually heard anyone ever say that Lords of Shadow 2 could qualify as a Metroidvania.
It's like a 3D Metroidvania then?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I haven't played those, but I've heard mixed things about them actually.
But yeah, because I like hack and slash games, which is why I played Lord of Shadow in the first place. And then it just took me a decade later to finally get around to playing Lord of Shadow 2 because I had heard that it wasn't that good. I enjoyed it for the most part. But yeah, I just expected it to be another linear hack and slash, but it was actually a semi-open world exploration-based Metroidvania. Although I haven't seen the Metroidvania tag on it, at least not on True Achievements. I haven't looked at it on Steam. But I was surprised. I'm like, oh, I was expecting it to be a linear hack and slash, and it's actually a 3D Metroidvania. So, yeah.
I don't want to pull up Masters of Albion here. Just in case anyone watching is interested. This is what it looks like.
Let's see if Steam has it on. No, even Steam does not have the Metroidvania tag on Lord of Shadow 2. They have action, adventure, vampire, and hack and slash. But it could definitely qualify as a Metroidvania. So yeah. Okay.
How did we get onto this topic? Well, I think we were talking about what games we were looking forward to.
Oh, yes, games we're looking forward to.
And then we got into the Metroidvania tangent because there were two that came out recently that I want to play.
Yeah, because of Ender Magnolia and
Blade Chimera.
Blade Chimera, that's right. So, yeah, I've got a huge Metroidvania backlog. The one that I want to play the most once I do this, get through and start all these games that I mentioned, is Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. I'm very much looking forward to playing that. I've heard nothing but great things. I played the demo and I loved it. I can't wait to play that game.
I never played those, but they look fun. I should probably try them one day.
That's another thing is like I don't have the nostalgia for the Prince of Persia franchise because the only Prince of Persia I played was Prince of Persia 2008, which I thought was a decent game, but
is that the super edgy one?
Yes, he's kind of I would maybe like an emo kid with his eyeliner.
I think that's the one I'll like the most.
And it's cell shaded, if that's the one that you're thinking of.
Oh, I don't know the graphic style, but
it was a 360 game because it was like it came out like 2008 or something. Oh yeah, because it was Prince of Persia 2008. That's the only one that I'd played. I enjoyed it, but a lot of people, like the purists, I don't think were very happy with that game. But I vaguely remember it. But because that's the only Prince of Persia game that I had played, as soon as they announced Lost Crown, and it was a Metroidvania, I'm like instantly my interest was piqued, and the more I saw of it, the more I was like, I cannot wait to play this game. And I heard nothing but bad things about it because of they're like, this isn't even the Prince of Persia. This is not a Prince of Persia game. People hating on it because like it's not like true to the franchise, which that sucks. I totally understand when things get take just the name slapped on it, but it's completely different than what it was before. Star Wars. But since I don't have the nostalgia for it, that didn't bother me. And I'm like, I love the look of this game. I cannot wait to play it. So I played the demo. I loved it. I'm very much looking forward to playing this game. So, but as for games that are coming out, probably my number one is, actually we did the, on Carl's, it was on Carl's channel in December. We did a top 5
one second
idea of games that we're anticipating for 2025.
Can you give me like 2 minutes? I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem.
I have my headphones on, so you can keep talking and I'll hear you.
Okay. Let me
It's
go
like 2
ahead
minutes.
and pull up what my list was, but it actually just recently changed. Where is that notepad? 25 anticipated games. Here we go. So my most anticipated games for 2025 at the time of this stream, which was in December, I'll go ahead and work up from the bottom. So number 5 was Ninja Gaiden Ragebound because I am such a huge fan of the Ninja Gaiden franchise. Number 4 was Revenge of the Savage Planet because I absolutely love Journey to the Savage Planet. We just got a bunch more information about Revenge of the Savage Planet on the ID at Xbox just last week. My only potential gripe, obviously it's not out yet. It'll be out the week before Doom Dark Ages, but the first one was a first-person game, and this one is solely locked into a third-person perspective. And I thought it worked really well in first person. So I'm curious on how much I'm going to like it in the third person, but I know I'm going to like the game regardless because it's got the same wacky humor. But I just don't know if I'm going to like the third person as much as I like the first person's perspective. My number 3 was Subnautica 2. I talk about Subnautica. I haven't talked about it as much lately, but I love Subnautica. It's probably one of my favorite games of the last decade. And then number 2, Doom Dark Ages. Cannot freaking wait. And that and Revenge of the Savage Planet are coming out a week apart. Because Doom Eternal, as I mentioned earlier, was my number 1 on top 5 favorite shooters on just the last episode of Top 5 we did was that last week? Yeah, last week. And then my number 1 most anticipated game for 2025, assuming that it comes out this year, is Metroid Prime 4. Because as you guys know, I love Metroidvanias and I love Metroid. And of all the Metroid games, Metroid Prime Remastered is my favorite and probably the best one. But I do equally like Metroid Prime 2. A lot of people didn't like Prime 2, but I love Prime 2. But I cannot freaking wait for Prime 4. But with because this was in December, we've had some announcements that we were not expecting with the revival of, I mentioned one of my favorite franchises, Ninja Gaiden. We are getting a revival because that day, Ninja Gaiden 2 Black Shadow dropped. Looking forward to playing that. But I had to, I know I updated this somewhere, but Ninja Gaiden 4 is definitely on my top 5 somewhere. And that would kick Ragebound off just because that's a 2D game. And the 3D ones I freaking love. So I don't remember when I did it in my head, where I put, because I think I put Ninja Gaiden 4 at number 3 and bumped Subnautica and Revenge of the Savage Planet down. But those are my most anticipated games for this year.
Okay.
So it sounds like you're back. You have anything to say
I
on
am.
any of those games? Hey, Nerd Takes is here. What's up, Jay? How you doing?
I don't know much about most of them other than Metroid Prime 4.
Okay. Yeah, my guess is that it's going to be a launch title for the Super Switch.
I wonder if they're going to do like the dual release thing, kind of like they did with Twilight Princess on the GameCube and Wii. I wonder if they're going to do something like that. Which they probably should, because that game would benefit a lot from having better horsepower, I think.
Yeah, I'm curious on how they're going to do that, because they said the new one is backwards compatible. So well, I guess it would be in the other direction. So if you wanted to play Prime 4, because I'm coming at it from like the Xbox perspective, where they're like, yeah, all your Xbox One games will work on the Series X, but not necessarily here. You can play your old Switch games on the Super Switch, but not all games that are coming to Super Switch will also be playable on a regular Switch, which, yeah. So you make a good point. That would be a great game to have as a dual release, where you've got the Switch version, then you've got the Super Switch version. So if you want to play with all the, better graphics and bells and whistles, then, because that's one thing that, like I always say, I'm very frugal and patient. I rarely buy games until they're at least 50% off with all the DLC, like a year after they come out. So I don't really play anything new unless it's like on Game Pass. But this would be a game that I would pay full price on launch day for, especially since Nintendo has, a good track record of releasing games that work at launch and don't, spend 3 months as a beta test and then they're ready to play. And, you're paying for the privilege of beta testing the game for them, like a lot of other developers do. So I would have no problem with pre-ordering a game, because I haven't pre-ordered a game in a very long time.
But I think I do have one hang up with Metroid Prime 4 though.
Okay.
Is when they showed off the first reveal trailer, I didn't like notice anything like stand out or like new or interesting? Like what are they doing new for this game compared to the previous three? There was
That's
nothing in that trailer that really showed any of that off. It just kind of looked like a repackaged Metroid Prime ish game that looks like a bunch of stuff we've already seen. And then the only sort of interesting thing was that they're bringing back a certain character.
yeah, and that was from Metroid Prime Hunters on
Yeah.
DS.
Which I didn't play that, but wasn't that character supposed to be dead?
I never finished Metroid Prime Hunters because I couldn't figure out where to go. So when I play it here soon on Metroidvania Monday, that'll be the first time I actually beat the game. So I don't really know
Okay.
what happened to the character, and I played this so long ago, I don't remember anything about the story other than those characters. Actually, I gotta look which one was first because they were in Metroid Prime Hunters, but they were also in Metroid Prime 3. That was 2012. When did Metroid Prime Hunters come out?
Oh, I don't remember.
Metroid Prime Hunters. Is it gonna find it on the search, or do I need to enter the colon? I hate it when it's like it's got a colon in it, you don't put the colon, it doesn't come up in the search results. Ugh. Let me just search Metroid Prime. Why is Retro Achievement search so slow? Metroid Prime Hunters, there it is. Release date March. Oh wow, 2006. So it came out way before Metroid Prime 3.
Yeah, wasn't it a launch title for the DS?
I don't know. I got a DS probably a few years after it had come out, so I have no idea what was the launch title on the DS or not.
Or was the DS 2004 or 5? I don't remember. I didn't get a DS until like 2010 anyway, so. Or no, it was like 2011 actually.
The original model of the DS launched in November of 2004. Metroid Prime Hunters came out in March of 2006. So no, it was not a launch title.
Okay.
But okay. Well, you make excellent points that I definitely could not refute.
I try.
I'm just
But-
so excited because it's been so long. I will take pretty much anything they give us at this point for Metroid Prime. Even if it's not really anything innovative, I'd just be happy with more Metroid. But I would absolutely love to see some more innovation in the genre, especially since I often rag on how we really have almost no games like Metroid Prime since Metroid Prime 3 in 2012. Or no, it was even earlier than that. Metroid Prime 3
was 2009, I think.
2009? I don't know why I was thinking 2012. Metroid Prime 3, 2007. See,
Oh, 7.
It's much older than I thought.
Okay.
But yeah, there's very, very few games that are similar to Metroid Prime. It's like we've had, what is that, 17 years, and there's almost nothing like Metroid Prime still to this day. Because I'm such a big Metroidvania fan, it irks me on how few 3D Metroidvanias we have, and of those that are 3D, how few are first-person shooter Metroidvanias. The closest thing we've gotten is Journey to the Savage Planet, and now that's going third. Like I said, I'm probably still going to enjoy the game, but that one's going to third person. So
there's actually
almost
one
nothing.
game I played.
Oh,
There's
yeah?
one game I played that gave me Metroid Prime vibes, and
Okay.
that was the 2016 Prey game.
Interesting. That's in my backlog. I will be playing that. I haven't played it yet, but that as a Metroidvania, I've not heard anyone compare it to a Metroidvania before. But that gives me
I
even
don't
more
think-
hope, 'cause I've heard nothing but good things about it.
I don't think it is a Metroidvania, but it feels like
It-
it when you're
okay.
playing it.
It's kind of got the feel of
And-
it. Gotcha.
And it's and you're in like this, I guess,
like a
haunted.
space station, right?
Yeah, you're in a space station. It's like getting infested with like this otherworldly creature that's like beyond comprehension or something like that. So it feels like a similar atmosphere, I guess you could say, as a like Metroid.
Atmosphere. Gotcha. Okay. And my buddy, IRL, he just recently played Prey within the last few months, and he was blown away by how good it was. He's like, dude, you're gonna love it.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. The only problem, I played it on the PS4, and it doesn't perform very well because like the loading times are insanely long. Holy crap. Like when you start up the game, the loading time is like a minute and 20 seconds.
Good lord.
So
It's like,
that
does
was
the
the
game
that was the
freeze
thing
or
I
what's it
remembered.
doing?
Yeah, that was the thing that I remembered not liking about it. But if you can play it on a modern system, it's probably really, really good all around.
I'll be playing it on my Series X. So, but yeah, like I said, I'll basically take anything they'll give us for Metroid Prime. 'Cause it's been so long since we've had anything, but I do hope that they do make some innovations to it. But yeah, you're right that what we've seen so far, they haven't really shown anything. But it could be because they're saving it for closer to release as more of a surprise. So
If you want to catch up with chat real quick.
there hasn't been much, but T-Man said Fable is going for safe humor rather than kind of the edgy humor you were talking about. And then Canadian, I think he's catching up from stuff from earlier, but he's saying that the Zelda Oracle games are great, which I only played Oracle of Ages. I never got a chance to play Oracle of Seasons, but I will be playing both of those at some point as well. And those are great. I love those. Well, at least I loved Oracle of Ages. He says those are his preferred Game Boy Color Zelda games, which makes sense since he was not a fan of Link's Awakening. So,
Did you say hello to Nerd Takes already?
yes, when
Okay.
he showed up a few minutes ago, I said a quick
Okay, I wanted to make
hello
sure.
to him.
Not League of Hang in there.
Yeah,
But I love the Oracle games too. They're awesome.
yeah,
I actually
dude wrote the
recently-
achievement sets for those as well on Retro Achievements. So
I recently played through Oracle of Ages on stream, and I did it with 3 hearts,
do the Heart 3 Heart
and
challenge.
it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal because you die so fast in that game, in Seasons and Ages both. I think Seasons might actually be harder to do that challenge because that game is more combat oriented than Ages is. Ages is more of like
puzzle.
yeah. That's why I like it more.
Okay. I love puzzles
But,
too, so that's like I think I might have moved it off, but I know when I originally built my top 10 games on Fuse, I had Portal 2 in there, but I might have moved that off. But I freaking love puzzle games, especially like first person and physics puzzle games. I love those.
That was actually why the thing that I liked the most about Echoes of Wisdom, because that game is way more puzzle oriented than any Zelda game we've gotten since Ages, in my
'cause you
opinion.
technically don't even have a weapon.
Yeah, the most fun part was like figuring out how to get through the dungeons in this game, which were really well designed, and I was really surprised by that.
Yeah, I'll be playing that at some point as well. It just sucks when, as I said, I'm frugal and patient, but with Nintendo, that doesn't really matter because their games rarely ever go on sale. When they do, it's not a very big discount. So,
Yeah.
But I'll definitely play it eventually.
While we're on the topic of Nintendo, though, there is another game coming out that I am looking forward to tepidly, and that's Pokemon Legends ZA.
Okay. Yeah, Carl's a big fan of what's up? Carl hopped in the chat saying, "Hello, boys. What's up, Carl? How you doing?"
Hello there.
Mentioned you many times on the stream so far because I've mentioned our gaming challenge many times and Pokemon, and he's a big fan of Pokemon as well. And he's talked about that on Party Chat that he's looking forward to ZA, I think.
Yep, I'm looking forward to ZA because I thought Legends Arceus was a step in the right direction. It obviously, that game has a lot of problems, like the game looks like crap. But it's super fun to play. It's way more fun than I've had with Pokemon in a long time. So, and Legends ZA looks like they're taking that into like even further. Like they're making the combat more real time than before, and you can actually move your Pokemon and your trainer around during the battle, and actually like do that to get out of the way of certain attacks. So I'm really interested in how they're going to make that work, considering how many different attacks and different variations there are in Pokemon. That sounds like a lot of work. So if they can get that down and make it good, then I'm gonna be shocked. But I'm tepidly anticipating that game because it seems like the only location in the entire game is Lumiose City, which is the biggest city in the X and Y games.
Okay.
So I don't know how I feel about that because normally you go out and explore the wilderness and stuff.
Right.
But in this game, it looks like you either don't or they haven't shown it off yet, which I don't know why you wouldn't show that off,
And
but I guess
I'm assuming this is going to be a Switch game, right?
I believe so.
Okay. Is there any ETA on when the release date is?
Late 2025, so it might have like the dual release thing.
Oh, on both Switch versions.
Yeah.
Assuming that the Switch
But
does release this year.
yeah, we don't know yet. We might find out on April 2nd. Who knows?
Yeah, fingers crossed. So I'll be.
But yeah, I loved playing Legends Arceus. I thought it was a lot of fun, and the main series of Pokemon has gotten stale and boring. So
because of our gaming challenge, and like I said, playing games in the correct order, Carl's been he's been playing through all the Pokemon games, and he's almost done with Platinum. So he's been powering through a bunch of Pokemon lately. So, and yeah, Angry Canadian says, I'm listening in the past. I figured as much. So he probably rewound, and he's still chatting while we're live, but he's somewhere behind where we are live at the moment. But yeah, Canadian, he's not a big fan of Wukong. That's another game that I've been highly anticipating because when they announced it, they said it was coming to Xbox, and then it released, and they're like, oh, there's no Xbox version. And we still don't know the full reason why. Although I think the general consensus is they're blaming it on the Series S. But I've been eagerly anticipating that game for a very long time. It's like really the only game I was looking forward to for like 3 years. And it's like, it comes out and it's not on Xbox. So I haven't played it yet. But Carl, Canadian is not a huge fan of it. So he's saying, I think Nerd Takes was a fan of it. So he's saying, you got to coach me through it. So I'm very much looking forward to playing it at some point. I'm holding out until it comes on Xbox. If they give an announcement that it's not coming to Xbox, then I'll play it on PC. But I want to play it on Xbox because if the game's on Xbox, that's where I want to play it because of my achievements and stuff. So it looks great. And one of the things that I like the look of it is that it's a lot of people call it like a Souls game, but I think it's like Souls Light. Because I'm not
Souls Light,
huge on the Souls. Like I love hack and slashes, and I often rant on the Souls games because they co-opted the hack and slash genre. And since they became a thing, we've gotten like no proper hack and slashes. So with Ninja Gaiden coming back, it's great to have a return to actual hack and slash form. And it seems like Wukong is kind of, I would say, kind of in between like a Souls like and an actual hack and slash. So that works for me, and I just liked everything I've seen from it. So. Already out, but looking forward to playing it. Carl says, we all know I have no life. That I was mentioning that earlier on my Mass Effect stream, how I've got a lot more time than you, and you're keeping up with me on the gaming challenge. So
yeah, I'm not much of a hack and slash player unless it's a game like Bayonetta or something like that. Or if it's a Warriors style
Dynasty Warriors. That definitely counts as the hack and slash. Bayonetta, I know you definitely could call it that. I'm not sure I would call it a hack and slash because you're not. I mean, you do have a sword, but it's not like your primary weapon. Like you've got a bunch of other stuff. But so, like, the best term I've heard for like Bayonetta is a spectacle fighter, which I think is the best.
Oh yeah,
is the best description of it rather than like calling it a hack and slash. But it definitely fits the hack and slash kind of genre. So. I definitely get where you're coming from. I haven't played 2 or 3 because those are only on Switch and I don't have them yet. Whereas Bayonetta 1 was on basically everything. I played it originally on 360 and the Xbox One 10th Anniversary Edition. That's a great game, though.
2 is great. 3 is interesting.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Another game where I will play it eventually. I just have no idea when. So. And Canadian saying the Triforce Heroes is the worst Zelda game because we mentioned Triforce Heroes a while ago, so he must be way back in the stream.
Oh yeah,
That's
the one I don't feel like I'm missing out on much, so not too worried about it.
Yeah, Nerdtakes like I didn't realize it wasn't on Xbox. Yeah, they announced when they originally announced it, they said Xbox and PlayStation and PC, and then when it came out, it was only on PlayStation and PC. So
was that because of Microsoft's parity clause with the Series S? They were having trouble getting it to run properly on there.
That's what they're saying. I don't know if that's even the official reason, but that I hate that argument because, or not that argument because it's fair, but the thing that kind of annoys me the most about it is Microsoft's parity clause when they've bent the rules for other games like Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
So why can't you do the same thing for Wukong or any other game if the Series S is the reason why you can't bring it to Xbox? Make it happen. So
I know there's a lot of people out there that like try to blame the Series S itself as the problem, but it's not the problem. It's Microsoft's policy that's the problem. They just got rid of that parity clause. You'd probably see a lot more games drop on Xbox sooner.
that could be the thing that annoys me a lot about that argument, though, is people like, the Series S is holding, gaming back. It's like the Switch is
those
like
are the people.
8-year-old piece of hardware that still sells like hotcakes. And it's way less powerful than the Series S. So, and not only that, but there are Xbox, games that run on the Switch at a solid 60 frames per second. So I don't think that argument is fair at all.
No, it's not. Those people are, when they say that, they're blaming the Series S itself.
Yeah.
Which is not, doesn't work like that.
And Nerdtix, it's Souls-like in ways, but different. Definitely easier, which is saying something about Souls games because it's not easy either. Yeah, Souls games are typically known to be very hard. And that's one of the things, like, not that I have a problem with hard, because Ninja Gaiden Black is an incredibly difficult game, but I love that game so much. So that's not something I had a problem with. But the fact that it looks like more of a hack and slash than a slower paced Souls game, I cannot freaking wait to play Wukong. So, and Carl says,
go ahead.
Carl says, I for one like what they're doing because it's going to help things like the Steam Deck and even a handheld. A lot of things come down to dev optimization. Exactly. A lot of devs there don't optimize their stuff because, hey, it'll run on this hardware. You got other devs that, optimize the crap out of it so you can get these amazing looking games to run on essentially crappy hardware. So that is a big part of the reason too, is like, is it really the hardware? Or is it because you guys don't want to do the work to get it to run on this hardware?
Been tempted to get a Steam Deck, actually. I don't know if I will, though.
My main, because I don't have, I've got plenty of games on Steam now since I've only been building my library for about a year. I don't have a whole lot of Steam games. But my main thing is that it's Linux based, and if I get a handheld gaming PC like that, I would probably go with something like a ROG Ally because it's Windows based, which would make it much easier for my Xbox and the games and stuff. But I've heard from people that have used like a ROG Ally for Xbox and Game Pass and stuff, and it works, but it's not ideal. So there's been a lot of rumors about Xbox putting out a gaming PC, handheld gaming PC. And if it does what I think it does, that would definitely be the one that I would go with, because it would likely play your Xbox games and your Steam games. And it would basically be meant to do that. So obviously it's still all rumors. They haven't announced anything, but if they announce it and it does all the things that it's been rumored to do, that would definitely be the one that I would go with.
Yeah, and one of the biggest hangups is that when I buy games on PC, I actually go to GOG first, rather than Steam.
Nice.
Because, you actually can download and install them offline.
You actually own the hardware or software.
Yeah, you effectively own them.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's probably some clause in their agreement where you actually don't, but
it's as close to actual ownership you can get these days when it comes to digital software.
Yep.
So, Carl says Steam Deck is great. I use it like a Switch and even have a dock. Yeah, if I had a Steam Deck, I would absolutely have a dock.
Does the ROG Ally and stuff like that, do they have docks as well?
I assume so, but I don't know for certain. I know the Steam Deck does, but some of the other ones I haven't looked into enough, so I don't know, but I would assume that they do.
Yeah, because if a lot of my games are not on Steam, then the ROG Ally would probably be better. And then if I wanted to stream games off of it, then I would need a dock, and unless there's a way to just hook it up with a cord, but I don't know.
Yeah, dock would probably be
hook it up to my capture card or something.
Yeah.
Because the ROG Ally and Steam Deck are probably more powerful than my current PC. Because
it's a bit long in the tooth.
It's from 2015 and it's still kicking. So, hey, I picked out the right one at least.
Yeah, my the PC that I had before, the one that I built that I'm using right now, is this one right here. And I mean, I never got it with the intention of gaming, but I got it in like 2011 or 2012, and it still runs fine. So it's been the only thing was that the hard drive crashed at one point, so I replaced the hard drive that came with it with an SSD, and that thing has been great. So,
Oh, Carl says you can get a third-party dock and use it for the ROG as well. Okay, that's good to know.
Okay, good to know.
Might have to look that stuff up.
And you can natively download GOG onto the Ally as well, FYI. Oh, that's also excellent to know.
Nice.
And Vanquish
Well, yeah,
is here.
if it's running Windows, then you should be
Yeah.
able to download just about anything.
That would make sense, yeah. But good to know for certain. But Vanquish is here. What's up, Vanquish? Saying Steam Deck is the GOAT. So have you played Vanquish yet? Because I give him crap all the time because I love Vanquish and I talk about it pretty often. And his name is Vanquish, and he still hasn't played Vanquish. So every time he shows up in chat, I'm like, you need to play Vanquish, because I know he hasn't played it yet. He showed up a couple days ago, and before he even said hi, he said, I have not played Vanquish yet. I'm like, do it. It's
Nice.
a short game and it's awesome. He did tag me in Discord or on Twitter or something a couple weeks ago when he finally actually bought the game. He's like, I own it now. I was like, you're one step closer, but now you need to play it. So for anyone who hasn't played Vanquish, I highly recommend it. It's an awesome shooter. It was actually, I think I put it in my top 5 shooters when we ranked our shooters last week. Let me see here. Top 5 shooters. Yes, I put Vanquish as my number 4. It's an awesome game.
Yep. And I was saying that I've had that on my list for a long time. I just need to do it. I need to just do it.
The
play it.
100% is very difficult because of the challenge mode at the end. There's only 6 challenges, but challenges 5 and 6 are incredibly difficult. But if you just want to play through the game, it's got various difficulty settings, and it's an awesome game, and it's really short. So you could burn through it in a day if you had enough time set aside. It's awesome, fast paced.
Well,
shooter. It's great.
I'm gonna have to put it off a bit longer because moving on to the next game that I'm looking forward to is a series that I'm knee deep in once again, the Trails series.
Trails, okay.
So they had one that released this year in Japan. That's the latest game in the series, and they're also releasing a remake of the very first one that's coming out later this year. So I'm looking forward to the remake.
JRPGs, so those are long ones, right?
Yep. Very long. And this series, it's a series that you have to play in order too, because they're all part of a continuous saga. So I am not even knee deep. I'm like neck deep in this series now. So I have to play it. I have to stream it. I'm obligated to. I've gotten a lot of subscribers from this series.
Oh, that's awesome.
So there's also one that came out last month that is the localized version of one of the newest ones. I played a version of that game 1 or 2 years ago. I played the Japanese version with a fan translation patch instead, because the localizers do not do this series properly. They like to insert their own little headcanon and mistranslations.
Oh, it's one of those games. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, because I know nothing about the Trails franchise. Nothing.
They have butchered so much so far that the Western localized versions, if you compare it to the Japanese original, they're almost unrecognizable.
Oh my goodness.
They'll change the names of certain characters, and they'll change the titles of certain characters arbitrarily based on their own like modern sensibilities, I guess. I don't know. Which then ruins the lore and the canon
that sucks.
of future games. So I am now pretty much considering the fan translation patch as the more official canon, I guess.
Okay, that makes sense.
So there's a fan patch of the latest one that released in January in Japan. The fan patch is almost done. It's only been 2 months since the PC port came out. And the localized version takes them like a year to actually get it done and ship it out. So these fans on 4chan are getting it done way faster than the official localizers are. So
it's not making them look any better.
No, it's not. So I'm going to be streaming that game once that's done, which should be sometime this month based on their progress.
Okay.
And I've also been playing one of the older ones on stream right now just to just because it's one that I've always meant to go back to, and I want to play through it again on nightmare difficulty. So a lot of hilarity ensues whenever I actually get to play the game and not watch cutscenes, which actually takes up like 60% of the stream.
That's pretty common for JRPGs, from what I gather.
Yep. So that's me for the next month or so.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like a year.
Oh,
Yeah,
maybe depends.
whenever Trails comes up, because I know nothing about it, I always have to mention Trials because I like the Trials games much better.
Right.
The Trials HD, Trials Evolution, Trials Fusion, Trials Rising.
then-
we ride
And
the
then whenever you
dirt bike. I'm not
say
trying-
that,
I'm trying to not fall off. I love those games.
yep. Whenever you say that, I always think Trials of Mana first thing.
I knew, because we were talking about JRPGs, I had a feeling
Yep.
that's what you were gonna say.
So
yeah.
speaking of JRPGs, though, there's two more that I'm looking forward to.
Real quick, Carl said that he's playing Pirate Yakuza on the Steam Deck, and it doesn't look the best, but it runs at a solid 60 FPS, no issues. So
Nice.
awesome. Because, yeah, he's a big fan of the Yakuza franchise, so I know he's been really looking forward to the Pirates game. A lot of people have been having a lot of fun with that Pirates game. So, and T-Man says something in a language that I have no idea what he's saying, but he said it had cringe localization changes.
Yeah, that
So he's agreeing with you.
Kiseki is the Japanese name for the Trail series.
Oh, okay.
So that was the one that released in February in the West. Trails. It's called Trails Through Daybreak 2 now. Yeah, they've gone and put themselves into the story now for whatever reason. So I don't consider that canon anymore. But there are two more. There are two more JRPGs this year that I really looking forward to. And the first one is Atelier Yumiya. I forget what the subtitle is, but it's part of the Atelier series. Have you ever heard of that?
No. How does that? Do you know how that's spelled?
Yep,
That doesn't
I'll pull it
sound
up.
familiar.
This is this one.
Never heard of it.
So this is a series that's been around since the PS1 days, actually. It's published by Koei Tecmo, and the developer is called Gust. And they've been doing this since the PS1. This is like the 20-somethingth game in the series. So they
games I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, they crank them out pretty quickly, and they surprisingly do a really good job with each one. This one, like you can see in this image here, it's like an open world. So it's going to be like, well, I don't want to compare it to Breath of the Wild. It might not be like open world exactly. It might be like an open zone kind of thing.
Okay.
Because the previous game was an open zone game. And I thought it was the best in the series they've done to this day.
Okay.
Because what this game is, it's a JRPG for one. It's also has a huge emphasis on gathering items, creating new items, creating all your equipment, and exploring and finding all the stuff that you can. So Mike here says it's an open world collectathon, which is kind of accurate.
Oh, October Mike is here. What's up, October Mike?
Yep.
Good to see you.
Yeah, so the main difference is there's a huge focus on gathering ingredients and then using alchemy to make them into new items. And the more you do that, the stronger you get. So
Okay. And
it's, if you look at it on the surface, it looks like a really like cutesy kind of girly series, but the gameplay loop is so addicting and it's so good and I love it so much and I want this game so badly.
Is that say March 20th as the release date?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's soon.
Is that the same day Doom Dark Ages is coming? I know it's really. I know it's around there. Doom Dark Ages. There it is. May 15th. So very close. I know which game I would pick between the two.
Well, yeah, and it's funny you bring that up because I actually have Doom the Dark Ages on my list as well.
All right. Yeah.
But my PC cannot run it. It literally cannot run it because it requires ray tracing.
Okay. Yeah. Well, my PC should be able to handle it, I would think, but I'll be playing on Xbox anyways.
Yeah, GTX 1070 does not have ray tracing, so I'm either going to have to wait until I upgrade or I'm considering getting a PS5. I might do that because there's some games that I don't want to play on PC
Okay.
because they have like invasive DRM and stuff like that.
Ah, gotcha. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So if you can play those on console, that's the best way to do it, in my opinion, because you don't have to worry about any of that.
And Nerd Takes saying, drop a like on the stream, everyone. I appreciate that, Nerd Takes.
Yep. The only hang up I have, though, with getting it on PS5 would be, does it let you use mouse and keyboard? Because I know some console games are compatible with mouse and keyboard, but I don't know.
There are some that works on. And yeah, T-Man said, reminds me of when Animal Crossing released at the same time as Doom Eternal. For me,
Yeah, the best crossover.
For me, because I don't give a crap about Animal Crossing, but there's that same week, two of my favorite games ever released. My favorite shooter, Doom Eternal, and that same week, my favorite Metroidvania, Ori and the Will of the Wisp. So that was my crossover was between those two games, not Animal Crossing, because I don't give a crap about the Animal Crossing franchise.
I've never played Animal Crossing, so I would probably get addicted to it actually, but my hang up with the Animal Crossing is that it looks so slow that it would probably get boring after a while.
Yeah, I have no interest in it at all.
Like it feels like it would be fun if it respected your time more. I don't know.
Yeah, Mike says, no, Chow, you will become a Sony pony. Don't go to PlayStation. So, I think you said you had one more JRPG that you're looking forward to?
I do. And it is Clair Obscur Expedition 33.
Oh, that one even has my interest peaked. I'm not planning on playing it, but from what I've seen of it, it looks like a pretty interesting game.
Oh, yeah. This game looks very interesting.
This game. It was on his top 5 anticipated games.
So there were a few JRPGs. So after I'd gotten into the Trail series, I feel like that series really spoiled me. So I didn't enjoy other games as much. I tried to play Sea of Stars, which was an indie JRPG that came out a couple years ago.
Funny thing about that, because you know how much I'm not a fan of JRPGs, but I am a big fan of Metroidvanias. Another one that I played because it was on Game Pass was Metroidvania was The Messenger, and a lot of people like it's up there in their top Metroidvanias. It was good. I didn't think it was like anything like super special, but I liked it. And then when I heard that there's another game coming out from these devs in this universe, I'm like, sweet, another Metroidvania. And then I come to find out Sea of Stars is a JRPG. I'm like, oh, great. I have no interest in it.
Oh, that's right. I always forget about that those two games are linked somehow.
Yeah, they take place in the same universe. So,
but yeah, I tried to play Sea of Stars, and I found it boring.
I heard nothing but good things about it from the JRPG fans that I know that played it.
I think the reason I started finding it boring was because of how slow paced it was. Because when you're playing the Trails series, those games are also slow paced to a degree, but they have this feature called like turbo mode or something, where it basically just speeds up everything. So battles are way faster. You can skip pretty much any animation you want during battle. You can speed up the traveling from one place to the next. So when I was playing Sea of Stars, I'm like, this game is taking way too long to get the most basic things out of the way that I just didn't want to play it anymore. I found the battle system incredibly tedious, despite, all the praise that it gets. That was probably the main thing that turned me off of the game was the battle system.
And that's one of the things that turns me off about turn-based games so much is just how slow paced they are. And, you go through this giant battle and, it's not necessarily skill based. It's, dice rolls and you might lose because, some dice rolling, got to go through the whole thing again. It just is not enticing to me.
Yeah. The older JRPGs are definitely a lot more luck based. But in more recent years, they've kind of moved away from that so that everything's a bit more controllable for the player. So in Sea of Stars, for example, the game is like have you ever played Paper Mario?
I've watched some of it, but no, I've never played it myself.
So have you seen in the Paper Mario battle system, you have to press the buttons at a certain time when you attack or do something like that?
I do know that because I played the South Park RPGs.
Yeah, Sea of Stars is like that.
Okay.
But because it's like that, the battle system has to move at a certain pace or else it breaks the game. So it's super slow, and each battle, like even normal battles against random monsters, take way longer than they should. So it just got really boring because of that. And it sucks because I liked the art style in Sea of Stars is absolutely amazing. The music is fantastic. The design of like the towns and the overworld and stuff is awesome. But the battle system is incredibly boring. And sometimes I can even overlook that if the story is good. But the story takes way too long to get going. And then once it finally did get going, I didn't care because I knew what was going to happen.
Not to that degree, but when you said I could overlook if the story's good, for me, that's like Knights of the Old Republic. The gameplay is very meh, but the story is amazing. So,
yeah, I've literally never heard anyone talk about the gameplay of that game. It's always the characters and the story.
Yep, the gameplay is not great, which is why it's not in my top 5 favorite Star Wars games. But it's a good game and it's got great story. It's the gameplay is not great.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
A lot of people are like, oh, it's the best Star Wars game ever. It's like, it's got great writing, great story, but the gameplay is nothing to write home about. But Smooth showing back up in chat again. He rated me earlier on Mass Effect. Good to see you again, Smooth. And he's saying this game, I'm assuming he's talking about Claire Obscura, is one of his most anticipated games of the year. So I know a lot of people are looking forward to this game, and it looks great. I'm even interested in it, and I know it's a turn-based JRPG essentially. And he agrees with you that Sea of Stars takes forever to get going. The average battle I had was like 3 to 7 minutes, even on normal mobs.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. It's
the couple of turn-based games I've played. It's like if I have an option to speed up all the animations like super fast, please give that to me so I can, actually play through the game faster.
Yep. The Trail series does that with pretty much every game. So even if you have to go through a lot of battles, which sometimes you do, especially on higher difficulties, if you can speed everything up, it doesn't feel like an issue because you're doing it so fast that it actually, even grinding like levels and stuff is actually kind of fun if you like the battle system.
Yeah.
So, but with like Sea of Stars, you can't do that because you have the timed button presses and doing the Paper Mario-esque things, which Expedition 33 also does that. You have the timing of the button presses, the quick time events in battle and stuff like that. That's the term I was looking for, quick time events. It's like quick time events in battle.
Okay, yeah.
So that's my one concern about this game. But I think because the story and the presentation, the art style and everything, it looks so compelling that I might be able to enjoy it regardless.
Yeah, it does look like a very pretty game. So
yeah, whereas like I said, the story in Sea of Stars, it didn't hook me at all. But this thing already hooked me, and I think they showed it off at like just the right time for me too, because that was right at that point where I'm like, maybe I don't like JRPGs as much as I thought, because I just got off Sea of Stars, which everyone was saying, oh, it's the best JRPG revival game ever, and then I didn't like it, and I was sad.
Fair enough.
And then this game got shown off, and then I was happy again.
All right.
Although one thing that might be, I wonder if this game will be better if you play it with the French language on, because it's inspired by France, like a fantasy version of France, and it's made by French developers. And they have a French version, basically.
That's
I'm
one thing that I'm very surprised that not Canadian, that Carl is so interested in this game as well because he's got a grudge against the French.
well, that's understandable, but
But yeah,
every now and then the French make some good stuff.
so yeah,
I've also had a. This is more of an anime style game thing, but I really do not like English voice actors
are you,
in
you mean like
JRPGs.
as in like British or just like not Japanese?
American, yeah, actually. Because most of them are American.
Okay,
When like they do voiceovers for JRPGs,
gotcha.
it's usually American. The only exceptions are like Xenoblade and Dragon Quest, which are British. There's
Gotcha.
probably some others that I don't know off the top of my head. But American voice actors in JRPGs have been pretty bad for quite a long time, and you tend to hear the same voices in different games. And once you start to notice that, it takes you out of the experience completely. At least for me.
Yeah, Smooth saying that he's amazed that they managed to get a great cast to play the characters in Claire Obscura. Jennifer English, who's Shadowheart. I think that is Baldur's Gate 3. Charlie Cox, who's Daredevil in the Marvel Daredevil show, and Ben Starr, who's Clive Rossfield, which I think was Final Fantasy 16,
Yep.
all in one game. So, and the French used to make good games. Ubisoft cough. Yeah, Ubisoft has so many good games from back in the day. I know people like hate on Ubisoft, but I'm a defender of them because maybe not necessarily so much recently, but there are so many good Ubisoft games, even though they've been, not a great company, to put it lightly.
I remember those days. Was a long time ago.
Yeah. Although, as I mentioned earlier, one of the best Ubisoft games in a long time, and they shut down the studio because it didn't sell, was, Ubisoft did put out Prince of Persia Lost Crown, and it was basically heralded by pretty much everyone. Once they played it, that was a good game, and it didn't sell, and so they shut it down. The one thing that was actually a good quality product.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says play the Yasuke Simulator instead. Yeah. I probably won't be playing Yasuke Simulator or AC Shadow. Well, I will probably play AC Shadows eventually, just because I've been playing all the Assassin's Creed games, but I'm still way back. I haven't even played through Origins yet, so I still got a bunch of AC games to get to it. So I'll probably play it just because it's in the franchise eventually, but it'll be way down the line. But yeah, I'm really hoping that the Yasuke Simulator Steam numbers are pretty high on Shadow's launch day. That'd be great.
That'll be hilarious.
Yeah.
I've actually never played an Assassin's Creed game.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't remember who it was, but I remember had someone on top 5, and that was like one of their, I think it was on top 5 franchises. I think Assassin's Creed was in their top 5 franchises. Let's see, top 5. That was on episode 10, game franchises. JT Epsilon had it in his top 5 franchises. So I've played most of them, but I just haven't played the most recent ones because I've been playing them in order, and they've just gotten, with Origins, they did like a soft reboot and they turned into like these giant open world RPGs. And so they just take so much longer than all the previous games do. So it's kind of been on the back burner, but I'm looking forward to playing Origins and Odyssey, not so much Valhalla. But I am looking forward to playing Origins Odyssey because I've heard a lot of good things about those ones.
Origins has looked cool because it's in Egypt.
Yeah.
And I love that setting.
Yeah.
Whenever I played Age of Mythology, the Egyptians were my favorite.
I don't know if it's his favorite, but Carl loves the Age of Mythology games as well. So you guys need to talk and more in depth than just on top 5 sometime.
Maybe. I haven't played the remaster or whatever, the remake that came out recently though.
Age of Mythology Retold.
Yeah. I heard that there was some complaints about the DLC. They sold the original artwork as separate DLC for some reason.
Oh, I don't know anything about it.
That was really dumb.
That if that's true, that is garbage. But I know Carl's looking forward to it. I don't know if he's played them yet or not. Yeah, Smooth says, also remember Splinter Cell, in my opinion, the best Ubisoft franchise, because Ubisoft doesn't. Yeah.
I haven't played that either.
Splinter Cell games are awesome. I would absolutely kill for a remaster collection of the first 3. and it pisses me off that PlayStation. No, I wouldn't say they're remastered, but the PlayStation 3 got a collection of the first 3 Splinter Cell games, but Xbox didn't. When Splinter Cell was originally a console exclusive to Xbox, it wasn't until later that it came to PlayStation. That irks me.
And he says, play the Ezio trilogy. If I do
Yes.
ever play Assassin's Creed, that's where I'll start for sure.
Yes, I agree with that. Play the Ezio trilogy because those ones, other than Black Flag is great.
Oh
liked it a
wait,
lot.
the first one doesn't have Ezio, so actually I would probably start with the first one and then play the Ezio trilogy.
Yeah, so the first one is the only one that does not have a. It's on the 360. Well, the 360 generation. All the other ones have been given an Xbox One version, except for the first one. They've never like remastered it or anything. And that one you play as Altair. And it's not too terribly long. If you're just playing for the story, go for it. The flag collecting kind of sucks if you're a completionist. But yeah, and then you could go into the Ezio collection, which is 2 Brotherhood and Revelations, and they're upscaled to the next generation. They're great. So
Altair got a Mii costume in Smash Bros. Actually, which is pretty funny.
That is funny. But yeah, I would agree with Smoo. Yeah, he says maybe the first one. Yeah. Not even the OG with Altair. Oh wait, you will. Yeah. So yeah, so
if I had to pick a favorite Ubisoft game, it's probably the first Beyond Good and Evil.
Really? I played it.
I think there's only like a handful of Ubisoft games I've actually played.
Okay.
And that one stuck out to me the most. The other ones were probably like I did play Rayman Raving Rabbids with my little cousin one time.
I never played any of the Rayman games, but I know
that game is it's pretty fun and silly.
But yeah,
it's pretty fun and silly.
The
and then I played
goofy.
I played Rayman on the Game Boy Advance as well. There might be some others that I don't remember, but those are the main ones. But yeah, Beyond Good and Evil I thought was actually really good, but it's obviously not perfect. It has some issues, but
I played the Xbox Live Arcade version not even that long ago. It was probably like 3 or 4 years ago, so it was somewhat recent-ish.
It's a cool game.
A lot of people, love that game, and Beyond Good and Evil 2 is like one of those games in forever.
It doesn't exist.
Development hell, and who knows if it's ever actually going to exist. But everyone's like so excited about it, and it's like, why? The first one was okay, but it wasn't that great of a game, in my opinion.
I'm actually kind of butthurt about the second one and it not existing.
Yeah,
because I was actually when I saw like. We didn't get any gameplay of it, but we saw like the pitch.
Yes.
And I thought it looked really cool. It was such a cool idea.
Yeah, I remember that video they showed at E3 or what was it, like 10 years ago?
Yeah, Ubisoft is going to die before that comes out for sure.
Smoo agrees. He says we're not getting the second game, calling it now. I would not be surprised if the second Beyond Good and Evil ever comes out as well. But October Mike is saying that never played Assassin's Creed entirely, but my favorite has to be Assassin's Creed 3, which a lot of people didn't care for it. I liked it because I had such low expectations going into it because so many people didn't like Assassin's Creed. I enjoyed it more than I expected to. So
it's always good to have low expectations.
Oh, that's why you said A. I didn't even mean that, but yes, my low expectations, and I enjoyed the game because I didn't go into it with high hopes. So, yeah, and Smooth says AC Shadows may actually end Ubisoft. That would be really funny if it does, because
we'll see.
And
you know what?
If they pulled a Sonic and you did like, you know what, you guys are right, we're wrong, and we'll just swap the character model with a Japanese guy, I think they would make a lot of money.
I think this was the game you were thinking of that's coming out on March 20th. Because this comes out the same day as the Atelier game I was showing earlier.
AC Shadows?
Yeah. Comes out on March 20th, and the Atelier Yumiya that I showed off earlier comes out on March 20th.
Oh, okay. We're going to have an AC Shadows, and I don't even know how to pronounce the name of that game, crossover like Doom and Animal Crossing.
Please no.
Yeah. So, well, this has been great. We went, we're coming up on 4 hours now. So that's how these things go. Is start getting to a great conversation. Yep. But I got a little bit of stuff to do before my next stream. So great having you on and just talking video games. As if you ever want to come back on again, let me know. That's the whole point of Open Mic. And the invite is always open to chat as well. The whole point is to get people on to just talk about video games. So if anybody wants to talk to me about video games, let me know. We'll make open mic happen. So great having you on Lowest Expectations. Right. You've been on a lot of top fives lately. It's been great hanging out with you and getting you on these panels. I think you're on the next top five as well next week, which is top five Switch games. Yes, you are. So I'll be seeing you next Tuesday again. But what do you got going on? What do you want to? And the link to his stream, to his channel, is in the stream description. So go give Lowest Expectations a sub. But what do you got going on? You got anything you want to mention? Anything to shout out?
Well, I am going to be spending the rest of the night editing because I'm doing my random news of gaming video, which I do once a month.
Oh yeah, I've watched a few of your recent ones of those.
Yeah, so if you want a little roundup of the news, you can check that series out. But if that's not your thing, I also put a list of all the recent games that have come out that are not AAA slop.
Oh.
So at the end of every RNG, I have a list of interesting indie games or niche games or lesser known games, or even sometimes AAA or AA games that are worth mentioning. I'll have those in the release list on every RNG video.
Okay.
And I've even
I did not catch your last one, so I'm adding that to my playlist now.
There you go. And I have a Steam curator that actually keeps track of every single game that I cover on the channel, including the RNG release list.
Oh, cool.
So you can also follow that. It's in the description of every RNG video that I make. So it's pretty easy to find. Yep. And what else am I doing? I'm streaming Trails from Zero on Nightmare Mode, which is a disaster because it's one of the worst games to stream that I've played so far because of how many cutscenes there are. So the other night, I was like, okay, I'm going to stream this game. I'm going to get to the end of chapter 2, and then I'm going to end it. I thought that would take me like 4 hours or so. No, it took me 8.
Oh my goodness.
And 60% of the stream was cutscenes and dialogue, at least.
Is this a video game or is this a movie?
Well, it's an old sprite-based game, so it looks like an old style JRPG. So it's like
an
dialogue.
Older game, so it's not.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I was thinking it's a modern looking game.
No, it's a game that originally came out on the PSP in 2010. So, and it's basically been upscaled since then, and it looks a lot better now, but it's still basically the same thing. So I'm playing through that on stream just because I wanted to play that game a second time because I haven't yet. I generally play through all the Trails games twice. To get the extra stuff that I missed the first time because they have a lot of missables. And then after the fan translation of the new game comes out that I mentioned earlier, I'll be streaming that, which will be interesting.
All right. Well, it sounds like you got your work cut out for you.
Yep. And I also have a few other videos in the works too, because I recently streamed a different game that's made by the same people that made Trails, but it may or may not be related. And I'm going to be making a meme video out of all the ridiculous things that my chat said during those streams. So there's also that. And then I'm also going to be making a what I would do if I was in charge of Smash Bros. 6 video.
I definitely look forward to seeing that one.
And I have a feeling it's not going to go over well with the Smash community. Because one thing I have learned is that there's a lot of Nintendo fans, or maybe just like fanboys in general, who seem to be okay with having less in subsequent games.
Yeah.
And I don't like this.
Do no wrong.
I don't like this. There's a lot of people saying, well, I don't know about a lot, but I recently got recommended a video of the new Pokemon Legends ZA game called the map of ZA is smaller than previous games, and that's a good thing. And then I also keep getting recommended videos of which Smash Bros. Characters should be cut in the next game, or which characters are going to be cut, as if that's something they just think should or will or is supposed to happen.
Yeah, it's like none. You should just be adding more.
Exactly. That's what I've been saying, but apparently I'm in the minority, I guess. We're in the minority, I guess. They like fully expect the next game to have less content. And I don't like that.
I could see if it had less content at launch, but with how many additional characters Ultimate got, whatever the next Smash Bros is should definitely end up with more characters than Ultimate had.
Well, when I make that video, I think you'll find it interesting.
Yeah.
Because I have some ideas on how they can make it seem like there's a lot of content without actually putting in as much work as is needed, or as there would be if they were making like a huge like single player campaign sort of thing. I have an idea on how they can do that without breaking the bank, basically.
Okay. So yeah, well, I
But will they do that?
One.
Will they do that? Probably not.
Probably not. Yeah.
So
I definitely look forward to seeing that one when you put it out.
yep, and whenever they do announce the next Smash game, that's when I'm going to do a remake of my top whatever most wanted characters in Smash.
Okay.
Because that was that was actually the first countdown video that I ever made back in 2018, right before the Ultimate came out.
Nice.
So
off the top of your head, do you know how many on your list made it into the game?
oh, good question. So one of them got confirmed as I was making the video, and that was King K. Rool.
Okay. Nice.
The other character I had on the list was Sora from Kingdom Hearts, but he was super low on the list. So
he made it into the game though, right?
yep, he did. He was super low on my list though, so I wasn't like extremely excited to see him there. But I had him on the list because I like Kingdom Hearts 1. I haven't really played much beyond that, but I love Kingdom Hearts 1 because of the music and the Disney nostalgia and all that they put in the game. And then after that, they kind of went in their own little Square Enix direction that I didn't care for. So I didn't play beyond that, really.
Okay.
Yep, Sora in Smash is still wild. It's something that everyone was saying would never happen, and then it did. And there was another one that people said would never happen, and then it did, and that was Banjo.
Yeah.
He was in my honorable mentions because of the way Microsoft has treated him since they got acquired, or they acquired Rare.
Completely neglected him.
Yeah. So I'm like, I would love to see Banjo in Smash. I don't want Microsoft to get any of the credit for it. But it happened. And Banjo in Smash is a really fun character. Even if he's not the best DLC character, he's really fun, I think.
I have not quite figured out how he works correctly. It's like you have like 5 uses, and then like how do you recharge them?
You die and then you recharge them.
That's bad game design.
The Wonder Wing move is what it's called. The Wonder Wing is supposed to be like his most powerful move. It's one of the very, very few moves in the game where you're actually invincible during it. So it's really, if you could use that like infinite times, it would be too strong.
Not necessarily infinite, but maybe like a slow recharge or just some way to get it back without actually dying. I think.
Yeah, I think there should be a way to recharge it. Like maybe like say if you run out of all 5, then you'll have a little golden feather that spawns on the map every now and then, even if it's a long interval, like a whole minute maybe.
Yeah.
Even if it's just that, it'd still be way better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that since that's Banjo's like main kill move, that's one of the reasons why he is the lowest tier out of all the DLC characters.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really pay attention like the fighting tiers and like the competitiveness of it.
Yeah. Well, even if you don't, like the tier list, it'll kind of give you an idea of how good the characters actually are, even if like if you're just playing casual, obviously it's not going to be accurate. But like a character like Ganondorf or Little Mac, they have massive weaknesses that are really difficult to work around. Like they're really bad recovery.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, dude's a Ganondorf main. Dude 1286.
Yeah. Ganondorf is a fun character to use for sure. He's the king of disrespect because by picking him, you disrespect your opponent by picking the lowest tier character.
Understandable. If you have any idea about the tiers, which I didn't until not that long ago. So
yeah, I think Ganondorf's actually been the bottom tier for like the past 3 games. The only game he was really good in was Melee, where he was like right in the middle.
I've liked Ganondorf, but I also like Captain Falcon. So
other than that, I think the only other thing I have going on is the Smash streams that I do every Monday.
Cool. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to join you for one of those at some point.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Get prepared to die a lot.
Is it more of a casual thing, or are they pretty hardcore?
It's definitely a casual thing, but people treat it as a hardcore thing when they join, so it is what it is. You can't really control that. It's just the way people play.
I haven't played Smash Ultimate against anyone. I've only played against the NPCs, so it'll be fun to play.
Oh yeah, it's way different.
People. So,
although they did do a good job of making the CPU players play more like humans in Ultimate than they did in previous games. So
okay,
that's about it, though.
All right.
I don't think I have anything else.
Well, you got a lot going on, so
yeah, I'm gonna have a busy month.
So as for myself, I got one more stream here in an hour and 45 minutes. I'll be over on Suns and Shadows channel at 8:15 Pacific, and we're going to be talking about Stargate. So come hang out with us there. And then for my channel, I'll be back with more Metroidvania Monday on Monday, where I will be continuing Metroid Fusion. Yeah, that's what I'm on right now. Yeah, it is a good game. I think I made it through like half the game on the last stream, so I don't think Metroid Fusion will take me very long to get through.
Yeah, it's about this. It's about the same length as Super Metroid, I'd say.
Super Metroid,
it's not super long.
It took me like 6 streams, but some of them had to be a little bit shorter. But I don't think Fusion will probably take me more than 3 streams before I get on into Dread. But next Tuesday, Lowest Expectation will be right here again for the next episode of Top 5. We are ranking our top 5 favorite Switch games. And,
hell yeah.
And then our other guest is going to be Melee James. And then next Wednesday, since Dude Souls is now over, and I wanted a palate cleanser with my favorite hack and slash, I will be starting Ninja Gaiden Black, going straight into hard difficulty. And we'll see. I'll be doing that on Wednesdays going forward until I beat it, and then we'll figure something else out to do. And then next Thursday evening at the regular 6 o'clock time Pacific will be the next episode of Achievement Chasers, where Dude and I talk about our achievement hunting over the course of February. So, any last words?
I wonder if James will put the Link's Awakening remake on his Switch game list.
That'd be funny if he did.
I wonder if he'll even beat it before then, actually, because he's still like only halfway through it.
That's a good
from what
question.
I remember.
So,
but it'll be interesting for sure.
So yeah, right back here next Tuesday for the next episode of Top 5, and we're just under 4 hours. We were talking about 2 hours, so that's
we said 2 hours
ago. If the conversation's going and you got time and I got time, I love it. So that'll be it for tonight's episode. Now that it's night, episode of Open Mic. Thank you for joining me, Lowest Expectations. Thank you, everyone in chat. Again, Smooth, thanks for the raid earlier on Mass Effect. That was a lot of fun. You and your crew hanging out with me while I was playing Mass Effect. Appreciate it. And again, shout out for gifting the Steam game. It was awesome of you. T-Man, October Mike, Carl, Nerd Takes. Who else was here? Vanquish was here. Angry Canadian. Thank you guys all for hanging out. You guys all have a good night. We will see you all later, and we'll catch you next time. And as always, in the meantime, game on.